Welcome to What We Watch When We Drink, a BoozeDancing Entertainment Network podcast featuring lively discussions about movies, TV shows, and anything else that we're watching while we drink our favorite boozy beverages. If you enjoy this show, please subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, Audible, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can also find us on BoozeDancing.com, and if you have any questions, comments, show or drink suggestions, email us at BoozeDancing@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
We are live.
Welcome.
We are live. BoozeDancing Entertainment Network is live. What We Watch When We Drink, the podcast is live. And we are all here tonight for our special year-end wrap-up of our favorite shows of the 2022 TV season. Am I right? Did I get that right?
You are absolutely correct. That's the plan. And most important, we'll be drinking.
We will be drinking. It is what is it, Wednesday, Thursday? Karen, what day of the week is this?
Yes. It is Wednesday night.
Yes, it's a day with Y in it, which means why are we drinking?
Yes.
Where can people are watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, where else I think, and
LinkedIn,
too, right? LinkedIn. Wow, that's awesome. So we are all over the place. Yep. So we are all together. We've been watching and talking TV all year long and drinking whiskey and whatever. And so we thought we'd get together here the last week of 2022 and talk about our favorites for the year. Now, our leader suggested that we get together our top 10 list. That's a difficult order, I think, for me. But that was the goal, was to get a top 10 list. And he sent us a massive spreadsheet. It felt like I was talking to my wife. And it was like, I don't know how many pages it was. It was endless. And every TV show on the air was on this spreadsheet. And
which apparently he watched every one of them. I don't know.
He watched every one of them. And that's why his eyes are glassy and kind of, he has no hair.
I am a mush.
So why don't we go around the rooms, and talk about how we looked at the list. And where'd you get the list from, Ange?
Okay, so the list was on one of my favorite podcasts, Facebook group. It's The Watch. So one of the folks, I don't know if it's a moderator or one of the folks that just contributes to the site. They do, the last couple of years, they put together like a survey listing your top 10 shows. But the way they did it was, you had 10 slots, and then they had a drop-down box in those 10 slots. And it was just entirely too long. So I asked them, is there an Excel spreadsheet? Because you know how the drop-down boxes work. There's a spreadsheet behind it. So I asked for the spreadsheet. They were kind enough to put it as a downloadable file. So I downloaded the file, sent it to you, fine gentlemen, and that's it. That's where the list came from.
It's really great. It's all these shows. It feels like there are some things missing, but was Ted Lasso out this year? Was there not Ted Lasso?
I don't know. I can't tell with the deadlines. I could swear Succession came out last year or this year, but it didn't. It ended last December.
Oh, geez. I didn't even realize that. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
because
we had more accurate than we think.
We had the same issue when we did this 2 years ago with Greg Schwartz and Brittany
Curran, yeah.
And Brittany Curran when we went through the list, because I could swear Succession was in that year, and then it's like, oh no, it ended the year before. So
it's so weird. It's crazy.
It is. So
what's nice also is the list has also the network that the shows are on.
Correct. And I don't care about the network. I mean, if you either have it or you don't.
I actually find it interesting to see where the patterns are, what networks are kind of doing what.
Okay.
Only a short 494 shows. That's all.
Jesus.
That's it.
So I went through and then I just kind of checked off the ones that I watched, or at least watched a little bit of. I may not have completely finished them. So my list came to 44 shows.
44 shows.
44 shows. That's a lot of shows.
That's a lot of shows. That's a lot of tea.
What's that?
That's a lot of tea.
It is. It is. So I narrowed it down to the 44 shows. Now, I was working on this list up until today, my rankings, and they've shuffled. The order is shuffled as I finished a couple things this week that I've been meaning to finish.
You are a shuffler.
I am. I mean, a couple things stayed, but there were a few other ones that I just had to kind of change the ranking. I wasn't crazy about it. I had to give it a little bit of thought. So I put some thought into this, and I broke it down into a top 10 list, then the next 10, then I have the honorable mentions, and then I have the stuff that I started that I just was like, no, I'm done with this. I'm not doing it. So, anyway.
How'd you do it, Mike? What'd you do?
I just thought about the maybe 10 shows that I watched, and I didn't really go through the insanity that apparently my Unabomber manifesto, 2 minutes from the manifesto friend did.
I wanted to give it some thought. I'm sorry.
Thanks. No, there's some thought, and then there's what you did.
It's a spreadsheet, man. You just change things up. I did my little pivot table, and you just refresh it. That's all.
Bippity boppity boo. We're done.
It was difficult. So I don't even know how many I watched. I think when I first looked at it, it was including things I started and didn't go back to.
Right.
I think it was like 67 or 68.
Okay.
But then there's a fair amount in there that I haven't gone back to that I want to. Actually, the list is actually very helpful because I forgot about some of these shows. I totally forgot about The Flight Attendant that I forgot to go. I haven't finished season 2.
Yeah.
And I want to watch Welcome to Wrexham. And, it was also weird about the list. They had some shows had 2 seasons in them.
Right.
Listed.
Well, there was only a couple because I think it's when they started. Like I know
maybe Slow
Abbott
Horses,
Elementary, Atlanta, and Slow Horses. I know both had like 2 seasons.
Welcome to Flatch.
And I think a couple of them had like 8 episodes in the spring and 8 episodes in the fall. So
right.
Oh,
we're calling it season 2 and season 3, but it's really not.
Really? Yeah, split it up. And I kind of did the same. I realized I couldn't do this simply with a top 10 list, and it was going to be difficult to do a hard 10. So I kind of thought of a top third-ish, second third-ish, third-ish, and that way. And so I have really like 12 of my top 10. Really, it's not really a top 10.
Yeah, but you know what? They're so interchangeable. Like if I took that
They
10
are.
and I thought about it a little harder, I could probably reshuffle everything.
Yeah.
I think what speaks volumes is that there's a lot of good TV.
There was a lot of good stuff this year. This was a really
lot of good
year.
TV. My top 36. I could watch most of those again. They're really good shows. And also for me, it was difficult because some of these things were earlier in the year. I can't remember yesterday, let alone earlier in the year. And I get season 2 mixed up with season 3 and season 4 versus season 1. And so I'm thinking a lot about the shows that at least were earlier in the year in total, not about the one season. And so that's maybe not a fair assessment of the season, but it's about the show. Some shows only had one season, so it's kind of easy. But some of them I couldn't really differentiate between the show in total versus the single season.
Yeah,
so
I'm looking at Cobra Kai, it's season 5, and I'm thinking there's been 5 seasons that I've watched.
Yes, exactly.
I got to get a hobby.
Yeah.
Hey, wait. More importantly, what are we drinking?
Yes, that's. I think we go first to the drinking part of this show.
Yes.
Ange, what do you got? What'd you pop there?
This time last year, I had a little bit of Christmas money, so I went out and bought some samples for for the other part of our media empire, for the BoozeDancing TV, for our reviews. So these 3 have been reviewed. So last year I picked up, there was a 3-pack of Diageo's, of the classic malts. So I had the Kalila 12, the Kleinleash 14, and the Talisker 10. So we reviewed them. We loved them all. I thought they were all pretty excellent. So I'm gonna do those tonight. So
I love that Kleinleash.
I'm gonna start with the Kleinleash 14.
Hey, nice.
Which is John Glazer's ketchup, as we like to call it.
What you got, Mike?
That's not ketchup.
Sure it is. Who
I
doesn't like
just got
ketchup?
a big, because our shows run long, I just poured myself a large glass of Jameson and ginger.
Hey, there you go.
You guys. Oh.
He's pacing himself.
See, I'd be
I didn't
chugging
know where to
that.
start myself. When I went to Italy over the summer, stopped at World of Whiskeys or whatever the store is called at
Hold on a second.
Heathrow.
I forgot you went to Italy this summer.
Yeah.
Oh my
I know.
God.
I can't remember. I had COVID in Italy. That was. And I stopped at World of Whiskeys and I bought this. I don't know how to pronounce it. Ailsa Bay.
Okay, I don't know.
It's kind of a newer distillery. I think it's a Lowland, I believe. And this is called Sweet Smoke, release 1.2. It's micro maturation. 22 ppm and 19 sppm. What is that sppm? I guess it's the sweetness number. And it's very tasty. So that's what I'm pouring.
Nice.
So it's lightly peated.
It's
All
lightly peated, but it's really interesting sweetness to it.
Well,
so I'm pouring.
Cheers, boys.
Well, I'm one sec.
Cheers.
Okay.
Cheers. And Happy New Year, and thank you for all watching on live.
Cheers.
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 All right, let's do it.
All right. So, Mike, why don't you start with, for lack of a better term, your bottom TV show?
Well, I think I'd go over the couple shows that I watched that I was hoping would be really good, and I was a little disappointed. Manifest was back. I don't know if you've watched Manifest at all. It's a plane disappears. Everybody shows up 5 years later. Nobody's aged. They're trying to figure out what happened. That came back. I thought, I fear it's going to be like watching Lost for the second time. It's a show that's really good, but just doesn't know how to end. And I'm confused to see where this is headed down the road. Good show to binge watch. The family really likes watching it, so we blew through everything in like 3 days.
That's
sleeping.
NBC?
And the same thing with The Flight Attendant. We watched Flight Attendant season 2, and I thought it was a little choppy. And Wendy read something, or a friend told her, "Oh, it gets better," and we expected it to get better, and realized we were on like the second to last episode, and it really hadn't gotten better. And then we watched the last episode and went, it was okay.
Yeah,
she's very good, but the character she plays is just crazy, really, for lack of a better term.
Off the rails.
I apologize to any listeners who actually are crazy. I live on Kipling. If you just want to go to Kipling, that's fine. I'm good. But it got a little too much into her head for the show, but it was okay. How about you guys? Anything you really wanted to watch?
Well, before we go too far, I loved that show, and actually the Flight Attendant. It was one though I didn't get to finish. I only got I think 3 episodes into the season, the second season, and I hope it's better than you're describing, because I want to go back to it.
I really enjoyed the first season, and I thought it was going to get better, and instead it spent a lot of time in her head.
Right.
Which,
I had a hard time with it too, and I didn't go back to it. I watched the first episode, and I was like, "Where is this going?"
Yeah.
And I just wasn't happy with it, so I just said, "You know what? There's other stuff to watch." So I just moved on, which is a shame because I really loved first season. First season, I thought was a blast.
All right, Ange, what's your bottom of your top 10 list ish?
Bottom of my top 10 list, or shows that I watched that I just have no interest in going back to?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's that. Yes.
Okay, so the stuff I'm not going to continue with.
Yeah, sure.
Well, there was stuff that I started, and I just The Boys season 3, I lost interest by the second, third episode. Cobra Kai season 5 just went completely off the rails, and I was just like, all right, I'm done. I had enough. Moon Knight, I got about first episode, I was intrigued, and then it just no. The Old Man, that show with Jeff Bridges, I thought it started great. Then it got to the middle, and it just was. I was irritated. I just stopped.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm done with that
enjoyed
shit. It just got all weird. There was too many speeches. None of the speeches made sense. It was just like, all right, I'm done with this. It's like somebody took the novel and they decided to just, all right, I'm going to take the soliloquy and, page 175 and just write it word for word. Who cares if it's a TV show? What works in a book does not necessarily work in a movie. The Old Man, Outer Range, I watched an episode of that. Under the Banner of Heaven. And lastly, The Watcher. That was just awful.
What's The Watcher?
That's with Bobby Cannavale. What's her name? Naomi Watts. Margot Martindale's in it. Richard Kind.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's not very good. It's supposedly based on a true story. Jennifer Coolidge is in it briefly. It's about these people buy this, huge, ridiculous house they can't afford up in North Jersey, and someone's like sending them letters to leave, and they're being stalked, and all this weird stuff starts happening, and they basically get forced out of the house. But not very good. So that's my bottom of all the things I watched.
It's funny you mentioned The Boys. My oldest son finally watched The Boys. He got through the first 2 seasons and thought it's a pretty good show. And he said the same thing about season 3. He's just like, it's just, you don't want to watch it anymore.
It was tough to get through. I'm not looking forward to a 4. I probably won't go to it.
We went and watched Cobra Kai. They loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that you were.
I
think it's the ridiculousness that makes you watch.
The worst part of Cobra Kai, frankly, is Ralph Macchio. He is absolutely terrible. What's his name is great. What's that guy's name again? The other guy?
William Zabka.
He's fantastic. He's just, he's steering into it. He's just steering into the skid. He's having a good time with it. He's having fun. Everybody else, the whole, Ralph Macchio and his whole family, they're horrible. So I'm just like, I'm done with the show. It's just, I just lost
to apologize to Ralph Macchio and his entire family.
The family on the show. I'm sure he's a lovely man. I'm sure he's a wonderful guy.
Are not the views of Booze Dancing.
Yes, they are. Yes. They're views of 1/3 of Booze Dancing. It's not a good show. So anyway, that was my bottom.
I only have a few that I actually made note of that I probably won't go back to. It kills me to say it too. Kevin Can F Himself. Which I guess was on AMC, but I was watching it. It was kind of hard to watch on Spectrum to go find it. Season 2, it's a little bit of work, and I can't fast forward through it. It makes it harder to get through the crappy stuff.
Right.
That was my main one that I just couldn't get through, or probably won't get back to. There's definitely shows that I watched all the ways through that I wish I didn't. The Boys probably falls into that category.
Yeah.
I was looking at the list, and Inventing Anna, I think I liked it when I first watched it, and thinking back about it, I wish I kind of didn't waste the time on it.
You know what? For some reason, I missed that. Yes, that's right. I saw that, and it was
I got through it somehow. I don't know. It was because of her. What's her name from Ozark? She's great. She's a very good actress, but I keep seeing
Jennifer Garner. No, not Jennifer Garner. What's her name? Julie Garner.
Julie Garner. Yeah, I think those were the ones. And Flight Attendant's on my list to go back to, but I don't know if I'll go back to. Welcome to Flatch is a little weird show that I started to watch season 1 of, and it's I think it's on Fox, and it's a weird little slice of life show, a quirky little town, and it's so it's so weird, and it's breaks the wall. They're talking. It's a mockumentary kind of show. Yep. I may go back to it. I don't know. It's sort of weird. Maybe if it was on cable, it'd be better than just being on Fox. I don't know. So those are my bottoms.
The bottom feeders.
The bottom feeders. So I guess we can go into the. I don't know. Do you want to go right to the top 10s?
Yeah, let's do that. And then we could always go back and talk about the honorable mentions and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
I don't know. Mike, why don't you give us a couple of your top 10 listers? Let me ask you, Mike, do you have them actually in 1 through 10 order, or do
I
you just have
picked shows that I
grouping?
really liked, that I enjoyed,
Okay.
that I put on the list.
Ditto.
Three that I would throw out right away that I don't know where you want to put them. I really enjoyed the second season of Only Murders in the Building.
I got to go back to that.
That's just a really good cast. The interplay between Martin Short and Steve Martin and Selena Gomez is just shockingly good. They're just, it's just a really well done show. I really liked Reacher.
I had that one in there too,
because I really disliked the movie, because it was a Tom Cruise vanity project where a 5'3", 130-pound guy is supposed to be knocking people around. And boy, the guy they got to play Reacher, he is a beast.
Yeah, he
was on Titans, and on Titans, it's a DC superhero show. He was on Titans, and he beefed up after Titans. So on Titans, he was, you're playing a superhero. I have to get bigger. I'm not quite big enough.
I love the Reacher, and that made my 11 to 20. So I currently have
you didn't love it enough.
It was on
there was just so much stuff, man. There was so much stuff.
I think it's really interesting how they film it so that they make him look big.
He's big, bigger. Yeah,
but they make him look really large.
Well, Reacher's supposed to be 6'5", 220.
And he's like 6'2", and he got up to, like he said, 2.25 or something like that. And they film him so he looks even bigger than his height. I mean, he's just a monster. And I really liked most of She-Hulk.
We talked about this before.
There were 3 superhero TV shows: Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, and She-Hulk. Moon Knight, I feel like maybe I qualified for some sort of college credits for watching that. My Egyptology degree is coming in the mail from, Grand Canyon U.
Did you get a certificate? You got a certificate?
I think I have something. I feel like I do. I don't know.
Participation award.
You got your CPE credits.
I got something. Miss Marvel was good. It'll be interesting to see how they roll that into the movie or a more advanced TV show. I'm not really sure when they bring in Brie Larson. But She-Hulk, I really enjoyed. The very last episode was a little too much like a bad Monty Python sketch, where they break the fourth wall and someone walks in and says, "Silly, much too silly," because they just can't end a sketch. It was kind of the way that ended. I didn't really like that, but I thought it was very good. Really well acted, and I think she's fantastic playing She-Hulk.
I love Tatiana Maslany.
The longer the show ran, the better the graphics were. Because I guess they had more bits of her, and I don't mean pieces, I mean BYTE, to go and put together the CGI, where initially they had Ruffalo on. He looked as good as he does in the movies, and she looked like Princess Fiona. And one of the reasons they said that was because they just had so much to work off of with him, and they just didn't have enough with her. By the end of it, I thought the graphics got much, much better.
Interesting.
But that just 3 quick ones I'd throw out there.
Good. And what do you got for your bottom 2 or 3?
Bottom 2 or 3? Okay, so
industry. Talk about them all.
Yeah. Industry season 2. I had that at 10, and that is really good. That is a really, really good show. Do you know what it's about?
Yeah,
it's those. They're all like, I guess, what do you want to call it? Recruits or trainees at a commercial, not a commercial bank. What do you call it? An investment bank in London. Mm-hmm. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. There's infighting among the students. Now in season 2, there was also a whole bunch of stuff with, the New York office is taking over London. I guess post-Brexit, they're like the London office isn't as, important as it was before. There's all this kind of infighting between that. There's double crossing, triple crossing. Jay Duplass, I think he is. Yeah, Jay Duplass. There's 2 Duplass brothers, right? Mark and Jay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So who was the one that was in Transparent? Is that Jay?
I didn't see Transparent, but Jay is the one that's like in the Jennifer Aniston show. on Apple Plus.
Okay.
Talk show, morning show.
I believe it's Jay Duplass. He's in it, and he plays kind of like this, one of those kind of guys that he puts something out like not an Elon Musk, but they put something out on Twitter, and then all of a sudden the stock market goes crazy. He's one of these kind of guys, and he was really good in it. He was really good, and he's just everybody's playing everybody in the show. So if you get a chance, definitely go back and watch it. It's a little, it's a little racy. So don't watch it with the kids. Yes, HBO. So there's 2 seasons.
Racy.
It's a little racy. Okay, it's a lot racy, but it's really
HBO.
Good. It's really good. The acting is fantastic. The kids are great. All these young folks that are in the show. There's a guy, I can't think of his name. I know he was on Lost. Asian guy. I don't know if he's Chinese or Korean. I'm not sure. Can't remember his name, but he was excellent. It's just a really, really good show, and it's really well written, and it's just a lot of fun. It kind of has like a Succession kind of thing going on, where everybody's double crossing everybody. Yeah. And it's just done really well. So I put Industry at my number 10. Number 9, I got Bad Sisters.
You just love her, don't you?
Oh, I love that show. That show was great. And my number 8, I'll start with 10, 9, 8. And number 8 was White Lotus season 2. I had it higher, but as I was finishing stuff and reshuffling, it kind of went down a little bit because I had to kind of put everything in the context. But my criteria for ranking the shows was I excited to see the next episode? And every single one of these shows, I really wanted to just keep going with it. And I'm like, I have to wait.
So if they dropped it all, you'd have been totally on board with watching the whole thing straight through.
Yeah, but I'm glad the way they did it this way, because then it kind of just builds the anticipation as opposed to the binge. So I liked it. I really like the week to week. It's kind of fun, and you can watch multiple shows on a week to week. You can have your Monday night show, your Tuesday night show, and it's an hour here, an hour there. So those are my bottom.
Television used to be.
Right. It was, and the nice thing about White Lotus is.
Wait, was it? I don't remember back that far.
I think so. And then we used to get this thing in the mail, and it had all the things that were going to be on TV.
TV Guide? Was it TV Guide?
And there was a crossword puzzle in it. And there was a picture of Mary Tyler Moore on every one. What was that called?
The TV Guide?
No, that wasn't it.
That wasn't it. No.
TV
Parade
Guide?
magazine?
No.
But that's 8 through 10. White Lotus season 2, Bad Sisters, and Industry season 2. White Lotus season 2 pretty much owned Sunday night at 9 on HBO, which is the slot. It is, that is the marquee spot for television.
Yep. And definitely in the HBO lineup.
I just loved all the chatter about it, all the speculation, all the nonsense, all the red herrings. It was just really fun. It was really, really fun. And we were excited for, the finale and gearing up and all the speculation, all the chat. It was just a good time.
So I didn't really have a, 1 through 10, 1 through 12 in my case, list. Bad Sisters, it's at the top of my list, whether it's number 1 on my list, it's on my list in that top group.
I got you.
It is so great. It is such great storytelling. And of course it's beautiful to watch because it's in Ireland, and the 5 sisters are great.
Oh, they're fantastic.
The back and forth between, we see this a lot in TV, right? Where you have this story and then they have to tell the backstory. So you go backwards in an episode of each character. Every character gets their own little backstory episode. So you have to go learn about them from how they got to be where they are today. It's tried and true. It's old. For this show, it didn't feel that way. I wanted to know about each of these people and their backgrounds, and I didn't. Where some shows, I guess, just tell me what the background was. I don't need to go back and see it. Shorten this thing up a bit. It's funny. It's dark. It's very dark, and it's very funny. It hits all those buttons really well.
What was great about the show too? The main character, the target of all their rage and fury, JP.
Jean-Paul or whatever.
Jean-Paul. Yeah. And I read an interview with him, and he's like, the thing I loved about the show is, how most shows is always like the backstory. Why is this person so horrible? Yeah. Did something happen? Was there a trauma? Was it his parents? No. He's like, this guy was just awful, period. No excuses. Nobody's fault. It wasn't mom. It wasn't that. Well, maybe they didn't help. But the point is, the guy was awful from birth.
Yeah,
and he was just a nasty character, and that guy played it so well. Claes Bang, I think his name is, or
I never saw the guy before. I've never heard of him before with the show.
He's been around. He's actually in a movie that came out last year called The Northman.
Oh, he was that? I didn't realize that.
He's in The Northman. So, but anyway, yeah, he was great though. I thought he was fantastic.
I cannot wait for season 2, and looks like they're in the process of putting that one together.
And what was the Frenchman? What was the Frenchman? What was his name? The one who was friends with
I don't know.
With
Sharon
Morgan's character.
Yeah, and
he was great, and I hope they go back to him in season 2.
Yeah,
because he was really good, and he just kind of fell
and there's
off.
a Gleason in it.
Wow, of course,
got to make it good.
Gotta make it good. That you put a Gleason in anything, you put it in liverwurst, and it's going to taste better.
Is Brian? Was it Brian Gleason?
Sure, let's say Brian.
It wasn't Donald.
Let's say Brian.
It wasn't Donald.
No, it wasn't Donald. No, different show.
I think it was Brian.
That's the Frank from Ireland show.
Yeah. And I think you don't pronounce it Brian. I think it's like Brian or something.
Let's say, sure.
Damn,
nothing makes sense in Ireland.
No.
I also had, let's see, at the quote unquote bottom of my list, A League of Their Own, which was on Amazon.
I didn't
Prime,
see that.
Which was really, really good. It's the TV reboot version of the movie back from the 90s, the one with Madonna and who else is in that? Who's in that movie?
Gina Davis.
Gina Davis.
Madonna.
Yeah, Rosie O'Donnell, and Rosie's actually in this episodic version, and this version is somewhat told closer to the original story, and there's definitely the theme of it a lot is women being oppressed, sexuality being suppressed in that era, and how they are allowed to be in society in Middle America during the war, World War II. It's funny, poignant. The baseball stuff's pretty good. It's actually not too bad. I enjoyed the baseball side of things, and they don't play up the actual playing too much, so that it's not. It's really about the characters. It's a good period piece. Really enjoyed it. Back to Ireland. I enjoyed the final season of Derby Girls on Netflix.
Derby or Derry?
Derry Girls. Sorry, Derby Girls.
Derry
Girls.
That's a whole
the last season.
Derby show takes place in Kentucky. It's about horse racing.
Right. Derry Girls season 3 is so good. The girls are now getting ready to go off to university and get through, or some of them are. And the troubles have. We're up to the peace accords in the Clinton era and in Northern Ireland, and coming of age, girls getting, growing up, and there's a couple interesting cameos in the last season that are fun. The whole 3 years is so funny. They actually do one of those things you really hate. I usually tend to not like is they do a flashback to an episode of the parents of these girls back when they were in school at this private school, or this school. And so they've got younger people playing the parents and what they went through when they were in school. That actually worked really well. Very good, very fun. And it's only 3 seasons. I definitely would go back to binge all 3 seasons. And it's short. I think there's like 6 episodes per season, I think. So, Derry Girls. And I can wait for that. Do we want to get another drink? If we ready to tip another one, or we want to keep moving forward?
Yeah, we can get another drink. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Twist my arm.
Well, while you're pouring, I wanted to mention that this is BoozeDancing TV. What we watch when we drink, our live streaming episode, our year-end show, talking about our favorite shows from TV shows from 2022. We also, as part of this, is we are going through our mailbag, and we have lots of cards and letters that we got during the year.
Is everyone complaining about me?
There was actually no direct complaints about you.
No direct complaints? Did they say the bald nasally guy? Is that what they said?
Just the HR.
So we'll be reading through those a few here off and on during the show. We can read through a couple here. Dear, and these are actual cards. We actually got them on paper, right?
On paper.
Yeah, that's how we get stuff.
Anything from
Dear BoozeDancing, love the podcast. Been a listener for years, back when you were only on my local UHF channel. One question: any specific reason that you don't say your names to start the show? This is Travis from Cleveland, Ohio. We should answer Travis' question. Why don't we say the names of people, our names? Why is that?
Nobody cares.
No, nobody cares?
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares? Okay.
Nobody
cares.
All right. Should we say our names?
Yeah. Let's leave the mystery.
Let's leave the mystery.
Let's leave the mystery going, I say.
Okay.
Here's another one. Oi, boy, BoozeDancing. Me and me mates listen to the show in the pub while we play darts and put away a few pints, right? So my question is, who has better telly, us Brits or you Yanks? There's only one right answer, mate, and don't get cheeky. Ian Newstead, West Stonesdale, Britain.
Oh, how's this? How about this? I can't say who has. It's a hodgepodge, especially with all this, multinationalism and all that good stuff. But I will say this: the best actors in the world are from the UK and all their territories.
Best is hard to say, but there's a large element of truth to that.
Okay, how's this? They have the majority of the best. There's a lot of great American actors, but
yeah. You put David Tennant on my screen, I'm gonna watch whatever that is. You put Hugh Laurie on my screen, I'm gonna watch whatever it is.
Right.
Right. And I can. There's American actors that I can't think of too many that I would say that about.
Never heard of them. Who are those guys? You guys?
You put Idris Elba on my screen, I'm watching it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I'll watch Jason Statham. Somebody else is watching it.
Am I watching Jason Statham break somebody's neck? Sure. Why not?
That's right. We got one more, then we'll get back to the drinking. BoozeDancing. Guy has like 4 exclamation marks here. It's very, very famous. Very fancy. Best podcast around. Yeah, do that. Love the mix of whiskey and spirits with television, chat, plus your sophomoric humor. Got a buying question. Looking to buy my first color television set and need some recommendations. My wife wants one of those with a big flat top that the cat can sleep on. I want one with one of those remote controls so I don't have to keep getting out of the lazy boy to turn the dial. Getting all the channels from 2 to 13 would be great too. I assume that's standard now. That's standard now with all of the technology advancements. You can mail your recommendations back to us. Our mailman Dave comes by every Saturday and even Sunday sometimes. Signed, Robert Allen Mitchell, Webster, New York. Any TV recommendations, guys, for this gentleman?
You got to get the Sony console with the little stereo on the side.
You want to make sure it's got the Trinitron.
You got to get the Trinitron.
Got to go Trinitron.
Otherwise, what's the point, really?
And if you can get the combo that has the speakers and it has the turntable inside the top cabinet, that will be awesome.
That would be hi-fi.
That will be.
Yeah, you get the hi-fi and the TV all in one big box.
They need
and I mean, like a giant box. You could bury people in the size
a really giant, large wooden
Well, once you take the
box.
TV out.
Yeah.
It's a lot lighter.
Just make sure you have a lot of friends to carry.
Yeah, and lightweight. Really, really easy to carry around.
Yes, very lightweight. Watch your hernia there, Robert. You don't want to hurt anything. All right, what are we pouring? I got to get something from the bar behind me.
I am still working on my Jameson and ginger because these pint glasses they're made for the show, really.
Uh-huh.
Did you move on to the next Diageo, Ange?
I got my Talisker 10. I'm going to go up in peat.
I'm trying to kill some stuff tonight, so I am drinking the very end. I probably won't finish it. Lafroig 18.
You know who you're going to wind up killing tonight?
Who?
Me.
Oh, there you go.
Me.
So, on your list, on the list was Frank of Ireland or from Ireland, whatever was that not this past year?
Well, it wasn't released in 2022.
Yeah,
we watched it in 2022.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was released prior to that. Like
I think
you were
it was
saying about some of the other shows. I didn't realize it was that old.
Yeah, I think it's like 2019 or 2020.
Wait, by the time
was it really that old? Oh wow!
They extended across on the boats. It just took a while to get here.
Well, you know what it was? It got lost in the Panama Canal.
No, it was the BBC. They're working on it.
You know what? They were too worried about Brexit to get the show to us.
Done. And I noticed your list doesn't have Manifest on it.
No.
There were some interesting things not on there, and
it surprised me because that was a fairly well watched show. But
interesting. All right.
Well, remember, it's kind of it's the watch, so it's all prestige. So I don't know if Manifest counts as prestige.
Well, they have NCIS on there. I'm assuming they would have.
Did they? Oh, maybe just somebody overlooked it. I mean, somebody was manually typing this list, so it's not like it came from Vulture or or Entertainment Weekly. Someone went through all the hard work of doing this.
Maybe they had a hard stop on a certain date, and Manifest came out 2 days later or something.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe they use the Emmy dating.
Yeah, some.
No idea.
November to November or something. And what else is not on this list is Reginald the Vampire.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, that came out too. Yeah, that's right.
I thought it came out during the same period. But
you could add it to your list if you really liked it. It doesn't have to be on the list.
Well, they were both on my list. That's why I was just saying.
Oh, okay.
So, should we keep going with the top 10, or should we talk about a couple ones that didn't make our top 10s?
Yeah, we can do that. We can intersperse it.
When so let's go into some stuff that you wanted to get up there, but it was just a little bit short.
So you're talking more like honorable mention stuff?
Well, maybe the second. Well, in my case, I have mine in third, so this will be like I can go to the bottom third, sure.
Okay.
Maybe it's all one group, but up to you. Things that didn't get to the top 10 that were still favorites of yours.
For me, some of the things that didn't get in were simply because I didn't watch enough of the episodes.
I gotcha.
I just didn't have time. So I'm like, well, if I watch 2 episodes, I can't put that in my top 10. I really didn't watch it.
Yeah.
And I really liked what I saw of Abbott Elementary. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to watch it. And we finally broke down and started watching Jack Ryan because we ran out of things to do.
It's on my list to watch.
That's a really good show.
Yeah, I got to get to that too.
Abbott Elementaries are just a really well-made situation comedy.
Uh-huh.
It's one of those things they don't make these anymore. No, they do.
That also made my honorable mention list. Both seasons.
It would have been higher probably if I'd watched more episodes. I just didn't.
Yeah, so it didn't make the top 20, but I still think it's a good show and it's worth watching.
I want to get to Jack Ryan too. Is it called Jack Ryan? Is that the show? Yes. That's the name of it? Happened to come across our Red October movie over the weekend, and it made me think about Jack Ryan. And I think it's on Spectrum. One ping only. And I see his face, John Krasinski's, on some Spectrum ad and on the TV listings endlessly. So, but that's on season 3, right? I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and we just started watching it. So.
That's a jump backwards too.
Yeah.
And you got anything else that you want that didn't get into the top?
Okay. Well, like I said, I did a top 10, and then I did the 11 to 20, and then I have the honorable mentions. And I mean, it's a pretty long honorable mention list.
Me too.
So it was 44
it's
shows.
Every other show that was on the 490 list.
No. So I could run through them real quick in alphabetical order. So Abbott's Elementary seasons 1 and 2, Atlanta season 3, Hacks season 2. There was a little show called Minx that was on HBO Max.
Yeah,
which I thought was fun. It just got canceled. Murderville, I saw bits and pieces of it. I liked the concept. I thought it was kind of interesting. That was with what's that guy's name? I can't think of his name now. He was on Arrested Development, and he did the voice of Batman in the Lego movie.
Oh,
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett. Yeah.
Yeah. So Will Arnett is like a detective, and they bring on a celebrity, and they just totally improvise everything. They just throw stuff at the celebrity and just make this whole thing up as they go along. It was pretty zany. It was interesting. There was,
yeah, I did see.
It was a little uneven, but it was kind of fun. So
yeah.
I give them honorable mention just for the sheer audacity to do this.
Doesn't he host a show something about Legos, like Lego building?
Yeah,
it's a game show.
They do the cooking shows. where they bring some people in and do stuff. They now do one where people get like, you got 30 minutes. Here's your box of Legos. You got to build this thing.
I think he's the host of it.
Yeah, he's the host.
Okay.
My boys have watched it once or twice.
So Murderville, Never Have I Ever season 3, which I really enjoyed, but not quite top 20 material. It's a good show.
Didn't really enjoy it. You just
I watched it. I loved every minute of it. But
Me too.
Would I go back and rewatch it? Probably not. The Offer I really liked. I thought that was fun.
Mine's in there too.
Ozark season 4. I don't think it was a great season 4, but you got to give it a little respect for. It's more like it's getting props for the first 3 seasons that were so good.
Correct.
I didn't finish Peacemaker, but I like what I saw. Yeah. That was kind of fun.
What's Peacemaker?
That's with John Cena. It's on HBO.
Cena's a superhero.
Oh, he's superhero. Yeah.
I didn't see the whole thing. I'd like to go back to it. Reboot was a lot of fun.
Reboot made my top 10.
Okay.
Never got a chance to watch it.
The Rehearsal, I liked the first couple episodes. Then it got to be a bit much, but I give it credit for being so weird.
My kids love it. One of my kids love it.
So bizarre. He is such a character. I can't even explain it. It's just you could tell somebody what goes on with the show, but you still won't be ready for what happens on the show.
Yeah.
It's a little crazy. I got a little lost in it towards the end, but the first couple episodes were really, really good. Sex Lies of College Girls, season 2.
Really
which was
good.
Enjoyable.
Yep.
It got better. It got a little sloppy in the middle, and then they stuck the landing for the end. So I enjoyed it.
That's Mindy Kaling's show?
Yes.
Yep. Just like Never Have I Ever.
I didn't get through all of Slow Horses, but I do like what I saw, so I got to go back to it.
I am caught up on it, and it's excellent. I mean, it's excellent, and it's a really good. You know what? They are British.
Yes.
Need I say
Gary
more?
Oldman? Who is it? Gary Oldman, Kristen Scott,
and
Thomas.
some women with 3 names.
Yes.
There
was a little comedy on FX called This Fool, which had Michael Imperioli in it.
I saw a few episodes. Very funny.
I thought it was really, really funny. It's so silly. It's great. And lastly, Tokyo Vice.
Really good. I love that
not
show.
Because of what's his name. Not because of Ansel Elgort. The other guy. What's it? Watanabe? Is that his name?
Watanabe.
Yeah.
He's fantastic. He's worth it for him. I like him. I like the woman that works at the whatever you call it, the dance hall.
Yeah. The dance hall. Yeah, the blonde.
Well, she's good too. The reporter, the woman who Ansel, whatever his name is, Elgort works for. She's really good. And then the other mobster guy, the young kid.
Oh yeah, he's good too. Yeah,
he's excellent. He's really, really good.
That comes back.
I think it will. I think it will. I mean, the later episodes don't measure up to the pilot. The pilot was great because Michael Mann directed it.
Yep.
But the show was still good. I mean, it was still a pretty good show.
Yeah.
So it gets honorable mention. It was higher, but then I started watching other stuff and I started thinking about it and I dropped it a little bit. So
a couple of, are you done, Ange?
Yes.
Okay. A couple of my honorable mention, third category of shows, ones that you haven't mentioned. Tehran on Apple Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of a Middle Eastern spy thing from Israel. Really good. Great actress lead in it. Israeli defense infiltrating Mossad infiltrating Iran. Very good. Avenue 5 on HBO. It's in. I think it just finished season 2. Hugh Laurie, he's British.
I was going to say it's for your guy, right?
And he goes back and forth between his regular accent and his an American one. So he's like House half the time, Great House, and he's also the captain of this crazy ship, which is who is owned by a crazy Elon Musk type person played by Josh Gad, who's great in this as well.
He's great as Elon Musk.
Kind of a crazy multi-billionaire person. Yeah. That's very funny. Avenue 5, Never Have I After. Single Drunk Female, which I it said on the list was on Freeform.
Yeah, but it's on Hulu. It's
Hulu. Okay, that's the camera I saw it. Really good show about a 30-something, maybe younger than that, 20-something woman who can't hold a job because she's constantly drunk, has to come home and live with her mom, who is Ali Sheedy, as I recall, and live with her mom while she's going through rehab and trying to get her life together, and figure out how to have a job at a grocery store and kind of get her life together after blowing it through alcohol. Mo on Netflix. This is from the family of shows from Rami,
right?
Which was on Hulu also. Is that right?
Yeah, it was an FX show.
Or Netflix?
FX on Hulu. Whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So wait, that's not a documentary of Mo Howard?
It is not about Mo Howard. It's another comedian.
I'm gonna have to take that off my. I'm gonna take it off my list. Sorry, I thought it was something else.
You guys may not know that there's a trend where stand-up comedians get their own TV shows.
Never heard of it.
And so Mo, this gentleman, who I don't know his last name, his name is Mohammed something. I think he is.
Is it Ahmed? No.
I don't know. He's either Egyptian
I think he's Egyptian.
Syrian, and
he's Muslim, though, right?
Yes, and he's a stand-up comedian who got his own gig as a show, and I think it's sort of loosely based on his life, where his family came to Houston during the 90s, and were trying to get amnesty, and created their life in Houston, and this is that story in essence. And he's negotiating life as just a guy trying to get through life and try to get his papers to stay here, and he's dating a woman, a Latino woman from Texas, and his mom doesn't like that because she's Latino and he's Islamic. Dealing with mom stuff, dealing with his sister stuff, and just dealing with the government and everything. It's very funny. So those are my kind of, and you mentioned Sex Lives of College Girls. So those are my kind of the bottom third of shows that I didn't get a little higher, but all really good. And I have to say The Offer, which I think I saw before you, Ange.
Yes, you did.
I've propped that to a few people. 50th anniversary of The Godfather this year. Give it 2 seconds here. 50th anniversary of The Godfather, and Paramount Plus is this thing now. So let's make as much crap about our own product as we can. And they came up with this interesting story about based on the producer of The Godfather,
Al
Ruddy. And it's kind of his version of the story, right? I think it's based on a book, I think. And it's really interesting retelling of how The Godfather was made, and all the pitfalls it had with Gulf and Western owning Paramount, and the movie battling with the Italian American community, and as well as the mob and organized crime, and how you trying to get certain people to be in the movie, and the studio doesn't want people in the movie. And
who was Al Ruddy was Miles Teller, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And who played Bob Evans?
He's perfect for Bob Evans.
He was awesome.
Because he sounded like Bob Evans.
He was so good. I can't remember his name though, the actor.
He was so good. So The Offer, it's like 10 episodes maybe on Paramount Plus. It's a really interesting retelling of the story, and it's not just about the movie per se. It's about the making of it and all of the stuff that goes on around it. So
it was like also with like going back to when we did The Freshman on the pod, and we were talking about getting Brando was the key, and this was the same thing, kind of the whole Brando mystique.
The Brando mystique,
and also piece of it.
And also the fight to get Pacino, was, and I believe that's actually fairly accurate. That Mario Puzo wanted him, but the studio didn't. Studio wanted him because nobody knew who he was. He's just a Broadway actor who hadn't done much, and it's a different movie if somebody else.
And he was short. Wasn't that also an issue?
He was short.
Too short.
Yeah. Too short. It was
really Robert Evans is Matthew Good.
Yes, he's fantastic.
And an English actor.
He was so good.
Yes.
He was so good.
So funny. Yes.
Tick.
Tick. Yes, it's a thing. I think I believe it's a thing. Okay, so that's our kind of bottom. What'd you call it, Ange? The
Honorable mention.
honorable mentions. That's a good one. That's a good.
I'd say worth watching, but would I watch it again? I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't we jump back up to our top 10 lists?
Okay.
And pick a couple extra ones in there as we're going up or through.
Okay.
Mike, got a couple other ones in there?
I want to complain about one show. Blood and Treasure is like an Indiana Jones kind of show. And it was on regular network last year. And this year, the first episode was on the regular network. And then it jumped to Paramount Plus. So I watched the whole last episode where they were looking for Cleopatra's remains and all this other stuff. It was a very interesting show. And this year they're going after, whatever the next big thing is. And now they moved it from networks.
Wow, it's weird.
So the first episode available, everything else Paramount Plus.
So before
why would you have done that?
So before we jump, we could talk a little bit TV industry stuff. I think we're going to see some of this kind of stuff going on. This whole Discovery, HBO, Max thing is going to be hitting probably this year. It's going to be confusing because they're dropping shows left and right. Things are moving from one to another. Who knows how this is going to play out and it's going to be nuts. It's going to be weird. And Netflix has got its own issues.
I can see moving a show after a season. I can't
agree.
see moving a show in the middle of the season or after the first episode. We're like, hey, it's back, but not for you. You're never going to see it.
Yeah, it's stupid. Well, the Peacock thing with NBC and everyone's got to have their premium channel and what's going to go here and what's going to go here. And when does it move from here to here? Where does it start? Where does it go? It's nuts.
When all this stuff started, before all these other things came up and paid channels, there were 3 networks, right? Basically.
Yeah.
And what we're going to wind up with? Probably 3 networks.
Yeah.
But
3 big conglomerations.
3 pay networks, though.
We're paying anyway. It's just going to have to be. It's just going to be a question of what you want to give up.
All right, Mike. What else you got in the top?
My other shows.
A couple of them.
Rings of Power. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, Rings of Power. Yeah, I had it in the top 30.
Very picturesque. It is a bit off of the books, so you have to be someone who's not treating the Tolkien books as a Bible if you want to watch it. But I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed Cobra Kai was on my list, which some people it's just not good enough for them. Aren't they highfalutin? And the end of Umbrella Academy finished, and that was an interesting show.
Is it the end?
Yeah, well, I believe they canceled it when they canceled whole. You never know; it's going to come back on another network somewhere or something. I didn't
realize it. Okay, it was in my top list too. I enjoyed it as well. It got a little weird, but with a second set of family, but it was a weird show to begin with, right?
Yeah, it was kind of weird to start,
and it was one of those shows where I didn't know anybody. I really didn't recognize anyone from anywhere.
No.
Who are all these people? Where are these?
The only person that I knew when the show started was Elliot Page. Well, Ellen Page, and then became
Ellen Page. Yeah, she's probably the biggest name in the whole thing.
That was the only person that I knew. Right off the bat.
Linchpin to the whole show.
Yeah.
Ange? G-Lo, what you got?
All right. So I did 8, 9, and 10. We'll go 5, 6, 7. And again, the top 10 is really pretty interchangeable, especially when you get to the middle. It gets really tough to categorize. But for number 7, Barry season 3.
Hey, I'm in there too.
Oh, that was just so good. And I'm glad you finally convinced me to start watching it, because I went back. I watched all 3 seasons this year, and it just built and built and built. It just got better as it went along. It was just a fantastic show. And season 3
I love that Henry Winkler's getting his.
Oh my God, he was tremendous.
Golden, his gold watch, whatever you call it, this part of his career. The Fonzie thing is it's light years.
It's so 1973.
It is so 1973. He reverse jumped the shark, and it's so great to see him. He is so great. He's really an amazing actor. He's just great. And well, what's his name? Barry. What's the actor? the lead character. Who's the actor?
Yeah, I have
from Saturday Night Live.
I know who you mean. Yeah, I can't think of his name.
That guy. He's great.
Will Forte?
No, not Will Forte.
No,
Will Forte?
No, it's not Will Forte. It's
so now we have
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader.
Hader.
My apologies to both Will Forte and Bill Hader.
Bill Hader. And then, of course, you got the Boho Hank character.
Oh, my God.
He is just tremendous.
So if there's a God in heaven, when this show ends, NoHo gets his own...
Boho? Was it NoHo?
NoHo. North Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. NoHo. Yeah. NoHo Hank hopefully gets his own show. Because
he is fantastic.
So great. Oh, my God.
And, of course, there is the chameleon. What's his name? Who's his
Stephen Root.
Yeah, Stephen Root. He
great
is like
in everything he's ever been.
What did I call him before? He was the Rivera. Who was the closer for the Yankees?
Mariano.
Yeah, Mariano Rivera. He's like the Mariano Rivera of Hollywood. The guy just comes in. He's throwing 110 miles an hour, and he's always different. He always
so
different.
Good. Yeah.
See, the difference between him and Rivera is Rivera had the one pitch. He's got a whole assortment of pitches.
Oh yeah, he's got a slider. He's got a.
He throws with both hands. He doesn't care.
Knuckleball, slider. What else you got? What are the other pitches?
So funny.
What are the other big ones? He's insane.
And like you said with Billy Zabka, where he's just turned into the skid. He's totally in whatever these. What do you want me to do? How ridiculous is it? Okay, whatever. Yeah. I'm on board.
He's
this
awesome.
is one of those shows which was way earlier in the year. I don't remember when it was on. The season 3.
Might have been summer.
Summertime. I can't think of this season by itself. I think of the whole series as a whole, and there's so many great moments. John Hamm being in one or two episodes at some point, being this crazy guy in a convenience store or Walmart or whatever. It's such a good show, and I too had it in the top as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. What else you got, Ange?
All right, number 6. Now this show moved up in the rankings all week because I just finished it this afternoon. So Andor. And Andor could be number 1 if I go back and watch it again. I mean, I don't know. That's
just in my top 2 also.
It is, well. I have to say, like, I had a hard time watching it in the beginning because I would always put it on late. And we've talked about this. I get tired, I fall asleep, and there's so much going on. It's a pretty complex show. There's a lot of detail. There's a lot of characters. There's a lot of storylines. Double cross. Who's doing this? Who's doing that? You know, who can you trust? Who can't you trust? But I the last week and a half, I've been trying to get through it, and I did today. I finally finished it up. I had it like 20 about 3 days ago. Then I had it to about 12. It moved up to 6 today after watching the finale, which was just spectacular.
Now, I just want to. This is a show that doesn't have all that Star Wars gobbledygook.
No gobbledygook.
Is that what?
No gobbledygook. So in the rankings,
there's a little bit of hints to Star Wars. Don't there are some Easter eggs, but it's not like the other. Because I had I had Boba Fett on my top 30 and the Obi-Wan Kenobi. Those have definite direct connections to Star Wars. This one doesn't, and it's really unique in that sense.
Oh, I watched the one guy that I watch on YouTube who does all the show recaps, one Mike, and he did just a 1 hour. He had like a 20-minute bit on the whole season, and he described it perfectly. He's like, you got all the Star Wars stuff with the Jedis and Yoda and Darth Vader, and this show like gets into the minutia, like what is everyday life, in this galaxy far, far away under the Empire,
right?
Before the Revolution, what's his name was unbelievable. He was just awesome. Stellan Skarsgård was great.
There's a Skarsgård in this show?
Oh my God. He is just so good.
Is there a Gleason?
There's no Gleasons, I don't think. Not in this one.
If there was a Gleason and a Skarsgård, it'd be higher than 6.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, yeah. But Skarsgård is tremendous. Diego Luna is fantastic.
Yeah. He's great.
Everybody. It's just like the set pieces, the action scenes, they look so, this is cinematic. It is. I would, if they released this in the theater and they did it like the old serials in the 20s, where you go on a Friday night at 9:00, you pay a nickel subscription, You go every night. You watch like one episode over the next 3 months. I would do it because it looked awesome. It was just they dropped a lot of money on this. This was not the.
It was the Flash Gordon in between the two cartoons when you went to see the double feature. Is that what you're saying?
Let's go to
Is that good?
Good. I mean, as far as and it's like there's A New Hope, the first Star Wars movie. There's Empire Strikes Back, and then there's this, and everything else you could take. You can keep everything.
Wow,
else.
that is your hot Star Wars take of the night.
It was really, really, really good. And by the
Booze
end,
Dancing live stream right there.
Yeah,
That's it.
I got to tell you though, with the climbing the rankings, beating the Jets and beating the Saints, it's nothing to brag about. I think you're setting yourself up for a fall. You're making them too high. They're just not going to be there.
This was awesome. I think you guys would like it, Mike. I think you and the boys would like this.
The boys watched. Well, Jimmy did. Joe's off at school. Maybe he watched it too. I don't know. But the boys watched Andor. Jimmy watched Andor, and he, I think he liked the Mandalorian better because I think
Mandalorian's good too.
I think he likes the actor better.
Okay.
The Mandalorian, he kind of made it with the, he's just so good.
This is very serious. I mean, this is not like this is.
Oh no, it's not that he didn't like it. I think he just liked the other one better.
Yeah. There is the cutesy robot or droid like in every show.
Right.
But to an aside, I have enjoyed all of these ancillary Disney Plus Star Wars shows. I think they've all, for what they are, they've all been very good. Some are very Star Warsy,
right?
Mandalorian, very Star Wars.
Mandalorian was a lot of fun. Mandalorian
was really fun.
But this is on a whole different level.
Yeah. It is totally on a different level. But I think I would be happier with these kinds of things than some annual Star Wars 2.5 hour movie that's going to suck in the end. These are self-contained shows with a large arc, and they're all very good, and they're not very long. I think these are like 45-minute shows. I think,
like 45-minute episodes.
But the other ones are like half hours generally.
Right.
The Mandalorians are half hours,
so
it's not a huge investment. I think it's a real. And what's his name is behind it all? Is the
Tony Gilroy?
No, the other one. From the chef. He's
no. This is Tony Gilroy. This is not
only Gilroy. Not
No, this is not Jon Favreau.
Not Favreau at all.
No, this is Tony.
Favreau's the other stuff.
Gilroy wrote this. He also wrote Rogue One.
Oh, that's right. Because
which is basically the same thing, right?
So
this
is the prequel to the prequel. So Rogue One is the prequel to what's it called? This is the prequel to Rogue One because this is who is Cassian Andor. So it's really, really good. It's a spy movie. It's a heist movie. It's a prison movie.
A political drama.
It's a political drama. You take all these things. You take all the President's Men. What's a great heist movie? I don't even know right now. I can't even think. Thief. Heat.
Ocean's 11.
Shawshank Redemption. Ocean's 11. You take all these things. And
I heard Meet Me in St. Louis, the one episode that was all musical, was really shocking. Who knew?
Speaking of musicals,
who knew?
I watched Singing in the Rain this afternoon. Oh my God, it was so fun.
Made his top 10.
It was fun. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
It's a new show. That Gene Kelly, I see big things.
Oh no, Donald O'Connor, man, that dude's incredible.
O'Connor's great.
That guy was incredible. But anyway, go ahead. Anyway, so Barry, Andor, and
number 5,
and number 5. And again, it gets really tough. I put Severance as number 5, and that was another show that I watched it tired. I couldn't get into it. I watched it on a trip out to Arizona on the plane, and in the room at night because there's nothing to do in Sedona unless you're going to a bar, and I'm not doing that because there's nobody to go to a bar with. Where are my boys? So yes, Severance was awesome. Severance was fantastic.
I agree. Severance made my top as well. That's just unique television making.
Yeah,
it's not.
Just to be clear, some of those actors might be English. Is that right?
Probably. Well, are they? Wait, let me check here. John Turturro, not English.
No. The guy from the SNL guy, or whatever his name is. The guy from Parks and Recreation. What's his name? The star.
Oh, yeah, I know who you mean. I'm drawing blanks.
Scott.
Yeah. He's not English. what's it
Adam
called?
Scott.
Adam Scott. There's a guy Cherry. I can't think of his name. Also not English.
British
Jack
in this.
Cherry, yeah.
Christopher Walken, not English.
Christopher Walken. Thank you.
Ben
That's my one
Stiller,
impression.
obviously not English.
Ben Stiller's the director, producer of it?
Yes, he's the director. Right. What's his name? Who else is in it? Patricia Arquette, not English.
Not British.
Not English.
So pretty American cast on this one. A lot of American. There's probably a Brit or two in there that I don't know about, but.
And we have a little note here from Whiskey Lassie, who just popped in the chat, and she agrees she cannot wait for season 2 of Severance. I think we can agree with that. Hello, Joanne, in snowy Canada.
I thought some of the women were English. That's why I said that.
I don't know about the lead actress. I don't know what.
No, she's not.
She's not. I don't know where she's from.
She's not either.
I agree. That was in my top 10ish as well.
That was good, and it's got that whole thing. The music, the soundtrack, the music was fantastic. The photography, the set, everything, just really, really good. It was really, really good. You know, the boys watched it. Andrea watched. You know, the family watched it. We all really, really enjoyed it. So, very good show.
All right, so here's a couple of mine of this group that we haven't already said. What We Do in the Shadows, season 4. It is it's such a well-written comedy, and the people playing those roles are so great. And again, I kind of get the seasons mixed up together, but the episodes with Nick Kroll are so good, who guest stars in a couple of these.
Mm-hmm.
There was was he in that episode where was a makeover episode? I think he's in this one.
I didn't finish the season, but it made my 11 to 20. I have it at number 16.
They do a spoof on these home makeover shows.
Yes,
where they actually make over their mansion, or whatever that house is. That is so funny. It is so great. The 5 characters are so amazing. Well, 5, 6, whatever we want to expend it. Guillermo, Gizmo, he's so good. It's just so. And is this the first time we're mentioning our you guys? What's his name? The Taika Waititi.
That
guy. The guy that owns all
Give him the money.
Give him the money. This is the first time we're mentioning him tonight. He is so great. This whole experience is just great. So that was in my top 10-ish. This is one I'm sure you guys don't have in your top 10. Shoresy, which is on Hulu, which is just a 6-episode show, which is a spin-off of Letterkenny, which is this Canadian show, which is I think on season 11, I believe. And Shoresy is a spin-off of a very minor character in Letterkenny, and it's actually the main from the creative brains behind this. His name is Jared Kiso, who's the star of Letterkenny. He also plays this character called Shoresy, who's a hockey player. And at the end of one of the seasons in Letterkenny, this guy Shoresy gets called up to an adult hockey league team in a suburb of Toronto, and he was in this rural part of Ontario. So this 6 episode show is about him going onto this adult hockey league team in a league it's very serious, and if they don't win, it's almost like Slapshot. If they don't win, the team is going to shut down. It's going to close, and it's owned by this woman. And if you guys don't win, we're going to close this thing down. And he has to kind of rally the troops and get these guys together. There's actually a couple ex-NHL players on the team, real NHL players who are now actors in the show. And it is Ted Lasso-like. Yes, I said it. It is Ted Lasso-like in its good feelings of, although it's very, very, very not family safe, not for your entire family. And there's Indigenous Canadians in the show. It covers a lot of spectrums. It's so funny. And if you like hockey, I highly recommend it. It's that good. I'm going to watch it again. for the third time. And my other one I can add in here is, I hesitate to put this one in here. I think I'll wait because I know you're going to bring it up, Ange. You mentioned this one is Reboot on Hulu.
Yes.
I think Reboot was the funniest show I watched all year.
It's very good.
The show that I laughed at the most and hardest all year. It is and it's actually a spoof of Hulu on the Hulu playground of a show from the 90s that gets rebooted with the same actors. And Paul Reiser was the showrunner 20 years ago. And he comes back and he's now going to be the co-showrunner with his daughter, who is, I forgot her name. It'll come to me. And they have to work together. He has to work. He's an old-time comedian guy, old-time TV guy, and he has an old-time comedian writer's room. And his daughter is like a new school, PC, woke generation. She wants to bring in her creative force. And how do you make this TV show together with these two groups? And it's all behind the scenes stuff. And the guy from Jackass, what's his name? He's on it. He plays Johnny Knoxville, and Keenan. One of the guys, with Keenan or Peele, one of those guys is in it.
Yeah, Keenan Michael Key.
Yeah, and it is just so well written and so funny, and it's great to see a real comedy that actually makes you laugh.
Judy Greer and
the great Judy Greer.
It's a fun show. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
So it made my top.
I like the old timers in the writing room too.
They're the best. That's when I was crying. I literally cried.
They are who's the one older guy, bald with glasses? I can't think of his name.
I don't know. Character actors.
They're all good. They're all really good.
And the woman, she is just hilarious.
The woman's fantastic. She was the maid on Hacks.
Oh, that's right. She's the maid on Hacks. And just and there's a blending of the old generation and new generation and how they work together, and it's a little bit inside baseball with the TV stuff. It's very, very good. So those are my 10 next batch in the top 10.
Okay.
So our friend Mike has dropped dead, went to the bathroom. We're not really sure where he went. So while he's gone, maybe we can read a couple more letters, maybe get another drink, and then move on to our next batch of shows, huh?
Okay.
All right. So cards and letters. We should mention again, this is Booze Dancing, the live stream, what we watch when we drink, our year-end special, our favorite shows from 2022. And we are counting down, and we have some letters that came in during the year. Let's see. Dear Booze Dancing, when are you selling merch? I need a What We Watch When We Drink hoodie in a large, no zip-up, gray, not black, from Luis Moreno, Riverside, California. Thank you, Luis. We'll take that under consideration. We should get some merch.
Yeah, we're in the middle of negotiations. I'm not sure whether we should go with Adidas, Champion, maybe Nike.
Yeah.
What do you think? Maybe a little Under Armour? Mike, any opinions?
Well, the whole Adidas thing with Kanye blew up, so I know they're looking for somebody to step in with a big name like us.
Well, you know what though? Adidas is making money hand over fist with the whole Messi thing and Argentina winning the World Cup.
That's true.
They don't need us right now. No, just give it a couple months though. There'll be some kind of financial scandal.
We could swoop in.
Yep.
That'll work.
Here's another one. Hey guys, with global warming careening down on us at a rapid pace, what would be your desert island dram? Since we are all living on we'll all be living on desert islands before too long. Name withheld upon request. Didn't want to put his name out there. So what would be your last drink on that island, boys?
Last drink, or if you could only bring one drink?
One drink. The one that you can survive on.
Mike? You can go first.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Jameson?
Well, I'd probably say Jameson because it's everywhere. Somebody could throw that in the ocean. It could roll up on my desert island.
Well, let's think about this.
And it's versatile enough that you can put it in just about anything.
Yeah, true.
Seawater.
Coconut milk, whatever.
I think I would. I think I don't know. I don't know. You get that question a lot. What's your go-to? I think the three go-tos I think I have are Ardbeg 10, Lagavulin 16, although there's better Lagavulins, I think now, and Lefroy 10. Right, those are kind of
so.
But then
Pete and repeat.
Correct, but there's no. I don't have a. But it's not my. Those aren't my favorite. My favorite distillery is Kalila, but there's no. I don't have a go-to Kalila.
Yeah,
because there's so many
independents,
but probably for me it would be a Kalila.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to kind of say the same thing, and it's all your fault because of bringing all these like Kalila, cast.
Fine, we won't share. We won't share with you. Fine.
Independent bottlings and all that stuff. But you know what?
So many good ones.
Mike and I revisited the 12 a little while ago, which is next up on my list, and I gotta say it's pretty goddamn good.
Yeah.
It's
even the unpeated Kalila is good.
Yeah, it's really good. So I don't know. I think it'd be between this and maybe the Ardbeg 10. Like I love the Freud, but I think the Ardbeg 10 maybe has a little bit more of a everyday drinking quality to it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
so I think it would between the Kalila 12 and the Ardbeg 10. It'd be between one of those two.
I also think I'd have to cheat and take a Scotch, an Irish, and a bourbon.
Ooh,
because
little variety,
different moods,
on an island,
different moods.
Mike, you know what they say: if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
I'd probably grab a Glen Scotia because they're really good, or maybe a Long Row.
Oh, I was going to say that was pretty good.
That was really good. We just had that. That was good.
Can't go wrong with that. Nope.
How about a Springbank?
And I would probably just take anything that's coming out of Indiana.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Because everybody says they make it themselves, but I really don't think they do.
So what you're saying is basically go into any liquor store, go to the rye aisle, and maybe every third bottle will probably be an MGP.
And not just the ryes. I think a lot of the bourbons are coming out of there too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Anything with doesn't have to be made anywhere. Just
tough questions.
Anything with a really bad story behind it is probably an MGP.
By the way, you know what? I love our listeners and readers because they give us the hard-hitting questions.
They are coming here. I'll give us one more before we move on to some more TV. Let's see here. This was just a whiskey question, looks like. Gentlemen, big fan of the show since your early pirate radio days in Tucson. What whiskey would you pair with each of the following streaming services? Apple Plus, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, Netflix, Hulu. Just trying to come up with a new drinking game for me and my wife. Best wishes, Stephen Thornburg, Seattle, Washington. So what would we pair with with these kind of maybe like, what's the personality of each of these streaming services? Okay. What would you put with them?
All right. Well, I like that. Okay. So Hulu is kind of a jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Because they cover network. They cover a lot of stuff. So I think you need like a table whiskey.
I think it's a Jameson.
But I don't know if it's a good taste. It might be like a Jack or a Johnny Walker.
Oh, no, I don't know. Because when I start looking,
it's clearly a gateway.
There is some quality though.
I'm thinking, you know what? I think it's like a Four Roses.
Four Roses.
I think it's versatile. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah. It's a pleaser.
Interesting.
There's
it's
a lot
consistent.
Of play.
I think it's a Four Roses, like maybe like a Four Roses, like small, like a small batch.
The small batch.
Yeah, I would go Four Roses small batch with Hulu.
How about Netflix?
See, Netflix was creme de la creme for a while, and now I think they're kind of hit or miss.
Dropped down a little bit. Yeah,
it's Blockbuster.
I think they're kind of hit or miss, and they actually have a show called Blockbuster.
Oh, Blockbuster, yes.
Which we watched. That's
and I love what's his name. Park, the actor.
Randall Park.
Randall Park is great. I just heard him on Conan. He's fantastic, but I couldn't get into the show.
Funny.
But Netflix is it's like next tier.
Fireball. You going with Fireball?
No, I wouldn't go quite Fireball.
Yeah. Rum chata?
No, maybe that is Jack Daniels. Because, as The Rock would say, remember JD used to be like 46 proof, 46% ABV, and they've been proofing it down. They've been watering it down over the years. So
much like Netflix has been watered down?
Exactly. There's a couple shows that it's like, that's where they get you. Like you're just getting ready to pull the plug and cancel it, and then boom, they drop a show. But the shows have been coming very sporadically now.
They are.
They get you. Yep.
I would argue that well, maybe they're a two dram network, because I think it's still maybe the best place to find foreign shows. So that would tend to me, that's like your independent bottlings. You're not finding some of these things on Amazon Prime.
If it's foreign stuff, it's like a slew of Vits. You got to get one of those things.
I was thinking, independent bottling of whiskey, but okay. But yeah, but these are kind of like almost like one-off shows. A lot of them that you're never gonna, like a Turkish show or a Korean show. What was that? And some of them get big, like Squid Game, right? Yeah. So I don't know. Amazon Prime, which is kind of the weird show, weird network of all these. There's really like very few originals, right? Yeah. I can't figure it out.
Amazon Prime. It's weird because they'll throw out a couple of like heaters, like Fleabag, Divorce, 000. The first couple seasons of The Boys were great. Yeah. So
wasn't Sharon Horgan's on that? The first,
that's what I'm saying. Not Divorce. Catastrophe.
Catastrophe. Yeah.
Catastrophe. So I mean, they've thrown some really good stuff. A League of Their Own, right?
A League of Their Own, yeah.
Yes. So
I don't know where they would be on a. They're so.
I think what the problem with Amazon Prime is, it's like a portal for other services, much like Apple.
So is that more like the Kalila? Where they make a really good.
They don't.
But about them more from the outsiders. The
that's
portal.
Maybe not a bad.
Independent bottlers here.
Yeah,
we probably had more independent bottlings of that than we've had actual bottlings of that.
Right, right. That might work. Yeah, you might be right.
The Kalila.
Let's skip HBO and go to Apple, because I think Apple's kind of unique because they don't really have as far as I know, they don't have this huge library of product.
No,
it's mostly originals, right? I mean, there are some older things on there, but it's mostly originals.
Right.
Which is kind of unique. They're almost like a startup in a lot of ways in the whiskey world, right?
Yeah,
a young company.
The Ardna Merchant.
Yeah.
Well, we had one that's really good, but it's almost brand new. Or the M&H.
Or Milk and Honey. That's a good one. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
But definitely.
And there's some Israeli shows.
Yeah.
There are a couple
of Israeli shows. You're right. Tehran.
Right.
But they're relatively new, but what they make is good. It's really good stuff.
Maybe even a Kilhoman. They're only 10, 15 years old.
That's right.
And they've got these very hardcore, great expressions.
Right.
My sister was just here, and she was just raving about the M&H pomegranate cask.
Oh, that's fun.
Which I shouldn't have given her. I just shouldn't have given that to her. That was a mistake on my part. I should have kept that back for myself. She was raving about it just because I thought, well, she's probably never had anything in a pomegranate cask, so I'll give it to her. And
that's shocking.
That was stupid.
Who has? I mean,
really, that was personal only, and probably last.
She drinks out of a lot of paper bags. Who knows what she said?
HBO Max. Now that's an interesting one because it's, like you said, it's a heavy hitter on Sunday nights.
Yeah, that's for the masses. I think that's one of a Diageo
HBO
big brand.
Was.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. Something out of there. Or maybe just Diageo, just that they got the stable,
Well, I think that's arguably very true, since it's this HBO Discovery conglomeration.
See,
it is Diageo. You're right.
Right, because I would argue that, until all this, God knows what's going to happen with this whole Discovery Plus thing, but they were top tier as far as I was concerned, as far as the streamer, because they probably had the majority of the really, really good content in terms of original programming, plus the TV catalog.
Yep.
Again, and Netflix has a lot of stinkers in terms of movies.
Oh yeah.
You got to really weed through.
And we were this close to getting the marketing deal done with them, and then you had to go and walk away. Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks for nothing.
You walked away from it. You walked away.
Yeah. So HBO. So maybe Diageo. You might be right.
I think they're getting in that world with this whole merger. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting coming up here. We all have our issues with pluses and minuses with Diageo and some of these big corporations. So I think we'll see what the new year is going to bring. It's going to be very interesting with the Discovery and whatever the hell it's called anymore. All right, we are back to our. Should we go back to? Are there any other non-top tenors that we want to talk about?
Well, no, this is that time in the awards program where we bow our heads, say goodbye to our favorite friends.
Oh, that's great, Mike. Thank you for reminding me.
The part that I always enjoy watching, which my family thinks there might be something wrong with me.
There have been many.
They're not wrong.
So I put together just a quick list of just some names that ran off.
This is the in memoriam part of the show. We would normally have music, but we can't afford that.
We were unable to license anything. Hum along in your head.
Well, it is the week between Christmas and New Year. So
Peter Bogdanovich, Sidney Poitier, Bob Saget. Meatloaf, Louis Anderson, Howard Heston, Ivan Reitman, Sally Kellerman. Tony Walton is on this list. Jeez. You have no idea who Tony Walton is.
Who's Tony Walton?
The only person to have actually won an Oscar, an Emmy, and a Tony for costuming.
Wow.
And married to, his first wife was Julie Andrews.
Huh. Wow.
William Hurt. And then we lost 3 people from Seinfeld. Estelle Harris, George's mom. Liz Sheridan, Jerry's mom. And Philip Baker Hall. Bookman.
Oh, Bookman, that's right.
All died this year.
Jerry Stiller died. Jerry Stiller died too.
He died. He didn't die this year. He died. Okay. Yeah, a couple years ago. Gilbert Gottfried passed away.
Right.
James Caan, Larry Storch from F Troop. Come on, who doesn't love F Troop?
He was great.
Tony Sirico, Paulie Walnuts.
Right.
Miss Prentice. Paul Sorvino, Burt Metcalf. Anybody know who Burt Metcalf is?
Burt from MASH.
Oh wait,
he was the guy behind MASH.
Yeah.
Nichelle Nichols from Star Trek.
Great American.
The first interracial kiss on television.
Yeah.
The great and immortal Vince Scully. I had to throw that on for you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Anne Heche, Louise Fletcher, Angela Lansbury, Robbie Coltrane, more English people.
Brett.
Leslie Jordan.
Oh, great.
Who's Jules Bass. Do you know who Jules Bass is?
No.
Who's Jules Bass?
Rankin Bass dominated my childhood. They did all the claymation animatronic Christmas shows, and they did a poorly drawn Lord of the Rings all through the 70s.
Right.
Was that the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer people?
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
The Rudolph the Red-Nosed? Okay.
Yeah, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Heat Miser, all that stuff.
Right. Year Without a Santa Claus.
Early animators.
The prop comic Gallagher.
Okay.
The last regular member of Hogan's Heroes, Robert Clary, the guy that played LeBeau.
Just like a couple weeks ago.
Bob McGrath. Anybody know who Bob McGrath is?
I know the name.
Did you ever watch Sesame Street?
Yes.
Oh, he just passed away,
from Sesame Street. Bob. Again, a big part of our childhood.
Passed away.
The guy was on Sesame Street for 45 years or something. Probably has like some ridiculous number of shows. And Kirstie Alley passed away.
Right.
Wow.
Just recently.
Wow.
It's always an amazing.
Always a big list.
Always an amazing
I didn't realize last year we lost 4 people from Mary Tyler Moore, and this year they lost 3 people from Seinfeld. I didn't realize that many people.
Crazy. Well, like we said, we're 50 years from out of the 72 year was an amazing year in movies, TV. I think MASH was 72, and The Godfather. And there's not much left from The Godfather, right?
No.
How many? Who's left? Pacino and James, not James Caan.
Robert Duvall.
Robert Duvall.
And De Niro.
And De Niro. Well, De Niro's in Godfather 2, not Godfather 1.
You're right.
So there's not a whole lot of people left from that era, right? Yeah. And it's crazy.
No one gets out alive. No one gets
out alive. That's right. Okay. Do you guys want to go back to the top, or should we go into any other shows that you guys want to talk about from the year that didn't make it to the top?
I mean, I've got my 11 to 20. So
who's in your 11 to 20 that you want to bring up?
Okay,
there's some good ones in there. And for me, there's some good ones in there.
There are. Winning Time, the rise of the Lakers dynasty.
It was great. It was really good.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it took a little bit to warm up to it, but I think once it got past the second episode, it hit its stride. I thought it was great.
Now,
and go ahead.
Go ahead.
What? Continue.
Isn't it interesting? Since the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh yeah, there've been like how many documentaries on basketball?
It's crazy.
Right?
What else are we going to talk about?
They bump up the Bulls one,
right?
Because we're all in
Last
hell,
Dance.
Right? The Last Dance comes out earlier than they expected, and I guess there wasn't much really in those first 2 years besides that. And then there's two Laker ones, the Winning Time, which is a fake document, or not real. There's the quote unquote real Laker documentary. There's a Kobe documentary. There's a Shaq documentary. There is there's somebody else. There was another one we just watched.
I watched the Shaq one. Shaq was fun.
Shaq was fun. The Kobe one was really good.
Well, then there's the one about the Dream Team, right? Not
the Dream Team one. Yes, another one, a Dream Team one. And I think there's a Barkley one coming too. It's weird. I mean, the NBA. I guess maybe it speaks about the NBA, right? The NBA is huge. It's massive, and it's gotten. It feels like more massive in the last. Maybe the quality isn't any better of basketball, but the enormity of the sport is just insane. It is insane. And after last night's amazing Luka Doncic game of 60, 20, and 10, which has never been done before, well, since they've been counting records, but it's nuts. There's going to be there'll probably be a Kevin Garnett documentary coming up next, or a Julius Erving one. I think there has been a Julius Erving one. It's weird. Just so many at once. That's great. I love them. They're good. What else you got?
Okay, so Winning Time was 11. Somebody Somewhere, which was a Duplass Brothers production on HBO.
What was
I can't think of the woman's name. She was on one of the Comedians in Cars getting coffee. It's about this woman who goes back home to Kansas.
Oh, yeah. That was really good.
It was excellent. I really liked it.
I didn't know the name of it. That's what I would have had it up here too, but it wasn't on my. Didn't know the name of the show.
It was actually in my top 10, but then after I finished Andor, it kind of moved down a little bit, but not by much. So
they had that bad loss to the Jets, so you got to knock them down on that.
That is
Bridget. Yeah, that's it. She was fantastic. It's a really good show.
Yeah,
really, really good show. And I think the guy who played her father just passed away.
Oh, really, Mike Haggerty?
He might have recently.
He's been in so much.
Yeah, he was really good. It was a really, really good show. Somebody Somewhere. This one, depending upon how it ends, may move up, but it's I'm not gonna get to watch the finale before this taping. So Fleischman Is in Trouble, I really liked, and that last episode moved it up into lower 20, a little bit higher.
I need to get back to it.
It was really, the last episode in particular was really good.
You sucked me into this thing.
It was, and Claire Danes, who I generally don't like.
Ditto.
She was really good. I have to say, I can't picture anybody else doing this.
The only person I like in this whole damn show is Lizzie Kaplan, but I keep I'm sucked into this show. I hate myself.
I like it. I think
I feel dirty. I feel unwashed.
I'm really enjoying it. Me and my wife watched episode 7. Me and my wife were both just like, oh my God, that was brutal, but it was really well done. Really, really well done. Then Reacher. Then We Own This City.
What is that?
That was the David Simon show about the police corruption in Baltimore.
Oh, yeah. I never watched it.
With what's his name? With what's that guy's name? He's in everything now. He's on the American Gigolo.
Bernthal.
Yeah, John Bernthal. Bernthal was great. He was the best part of the show. It was very good. It was very well done. It got to be a little bit preachy or a little bit of a slog at times, but overall, it's very good and worth watching. It's also a little confusing because they're jumping timelines back and forth. They're going back and forth a lot. But thankfully, they put dates and times of everything that's going on, so you can kind of follow it. But it's definitely a dense show. That was very good. It was really well done. Then What We Do in the Shadows, which I haven't finished. I have to finish the season. Euphoria season 2, which it really is all about Zendaya. She is fantastic. She is really, really good in the show. The show itself gets a little uneven. It's a lot over the top at times, but there are moments that just make it, I think worthy of a top 20.
Yeah.
So Zendaya is great. She is really, really good in the show. Then I just finished Wednesday, and I really, really liked it. It wasn't great.
Shows. Yeah.
It wasn't great, but I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. She was great. Jenna Ortega was tremendous.
It's one of my top shows. The thing you mentioned it before, when the show ends, and you want when is the next season going to drop? That's the sign of a really good show.
Yeah,
and I want to know when the next season's going to drop, if there's going to be a next season.
I mean, she made the show for me. I thought she was really, really good.
It was really good, and the deadpan, just everything about it was just
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. You both talked about it and said you liked it, so I was like, all right, let me give it a try. And I probably watched it in 2 nights.
And I thought it was nice they had the throwback where the Christina Ricci plays a role in it.
Right.
Like, wait a minute.
Right.
You look very familiar. What role did you play before?
What's cool too is they just had a couple really light references to the old show.
Yeah.
Somebody probably would go, "You rang."
Yeah.
Or even creepy. No. Spooky.
Yeah, we're kooky. Kooky.
It was it was cute. It was pretty good. And also what I liked about it, it's probably one of the few times that I actually like something from Tim Burton, because I typically don't like him. Besides Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I'm not a big Tim Burton fan, but there was a little bit of
ham-fisted. Yeah.
There was a little restraint on this, and they just kind of let it go. So I thought it was a lot of fun. Okay, so then Wednesday, Bridgerton season 2, which I really enjoyed. That was a lot of fun. And then the last season of Atlanta, which the last two, they did 2 seasons this year. They weren't, consistent. They were kind of spotty, but the cast on that show is just really, really good. So there were a lot of really interesting moments, and season 4 was actually pretty good overall.
Good job, Mike. Any shows left on your list that didn't get into the top?
No, I think you guys pretty much covered everything. There's a bunch of shows you've mentioned that I watched 1 or 2 episodes of, or I got to get back to, like what we watched in the shadows.
Yep.
There's a show on CBS, Ghosts, which I've watched sporadically, but it's actually a pretty good show. Where I think if I went back and I watched the whole thing now, I'd probably like it a lot more.
The commercials made me interested in it. I thought the commercials were pretty good. Yeah, they were fun.
And just the interaction between the husband and the wife, and what goes on in the bed and breakfast is it's an interesting premise. And then there's Our Flag Means Death is one of those shows.
I gotta go back to that. I watched a little bit of it.
That I just got to get back to. That it's one of those things I got to get back to that. That was one of those where you're like,
I think I watched the first 2.
My youngest loved it.
Yeah, that's like a what you watch in the shadows kind of thing.
Yeah,
where you
watch
watch
the
a
same
couple
guy.
and it was so interesting, so out of the ordinary, and now you're like, nah, I just got to get back to it.
Yeah. Yep.
How about
you? Let's see. The last ones in this section that I didn't that haven't been brought up yet. Russian Doll on Netflix with Natasha Lyonne. She's so great. I love her. She's one of those ones I can hear her voice grinding away in lots of things, and I just
it's just an odd aside. We went and we saw Glass Onion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, how was it?
So it's the new Knives Out movie.
Yeah.
And there's a scene in it where Daniel Craig playing his character is kind of beside himself, and he's playing a game online with 4 people. And it's Stephen Sondheim, and in his little bottom where it has his name, it just says Steve S. Like that he'd be like an average run-of-the-mill guy. Angela Lansbury, and Daniel Craig's character says, Angie, you're gonna have to explain this to me offline. Where you're like, I don't see someone calling Dean Angela Lansbury Angie, and one of the people was Natasha Lyonne.
That's funny.
You're looking like, wait a minute, how is
so
she
random
with this group of people?
It's so random. I just saw a list of shows coming. I should send it to you guys. I'm not sure where I saw this list of shows coming out next year. She's in a new show that looks really interesting, really fun. Paper Girls on Amazon. There's another Amazon Prime show. Coming of age story. 4 girls growing up in suburban Detroit in the 90s, and it gets a little sci-fi-ish about traveling through time. The girls are great, and it's I think it's based on a graphic novel. It only lasted 1 season. I heard it didn't get picked up for a second, but it was very good, very well written. Not funny necessarily, but good. Let's see. I had Obi-Wan Kenobi. Somebody mention, Angie? Did you mention Hacks?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wasn't fond so much of season 2 as much. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still very good. I mean, it's
honorable mention.
Honorable mention.
Yep.
Dark Winds, which is on AMC, which is an Indigenous American motif show in the 60s, I'd say. Mystery cop show out on a reservation, I think in Arizona, maybe New Mexico. Mm-hmm. Very good. Stars the lead character is also in Reservation Dogs, which I'm sure we'll talk about shortly. Yes. And let's see, Afterlife season 3, Netflix. That is Ricky Gervais. This is incredibly good. Again, it's one of those shows that you have to almost think about it in bulk. Ricky Gervais has lost his wife, and he cannot get past the grief of losing his wife in the beginning, and he spends his time. By the way, he's British. He spends his time looking at old videos of his wife while she had cancer, and just old videos on his laptop. He lives with his dog, and he's just trying to get through life and trying to just kind of get through life. And somehow he tries to find some happiness. He's not trying to find happiness, but he's taught to find happiness by characters in the show. And he's slowly healing a little bit in each season, and this is season 3. I don't know if there's going to be season 4. It's very good. It's heartwarming, and it's sometimes very difficult. I'm going to skip that show because I know it's going to come up. And Mythic Quest on Apple TV, season 3. I guess season 4 is on now. I guess I'm watching. It is such a good show. It is so funny. We've talked about it on pod before. It is also probably the second most funny show of the whole year for me. You're gonna mention this one too. I bet. I'm gonna leave this one off. We'll come back to it. Maybe I'll bring it up. My Brilliant Friend, is that in your top?
Oh yeah, it's up there.
Okay, so it's borderline for me on the top. It should probably be up in the top 10. We'll come back to it. Oh. And my last one in this group would be the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime, 4th season. It's just
4 seasons.
They had 4. That just had season 4.
Yeah, I watched and one more coming. The first season, and it just I kind of lost interest.
It's my world. It's this, it's totally my world, and it's that old time this 1950s comic world. And
so just out of curiosity, how old are you? And when did
I am
you
74.
Borscht Belt?
74, and yes, I was on the Borscht Belt for years. And it's got that 1950s television style to it to some extent, and yet dealing with themes of today. It's just so well written. It's so funny.
And well acted. She's really good. Tony Shalhoub's really good.
Rachel Brosnahan, yeah.
Yep,
she's very good.
They're Paul Reiser too, right?
Yeah,
not Paul Reiser.
No,
not Paul Reiser.
Sorry.
No, what's his name? No, the other. They're friends.
Oh, I know who you mean. Yeah. I can't think of his name right now. Also a comic.
Yes.
He was in Diner, and he was in.
Yes. He's the father of one of the characters. Yes.
Does all the great impressions.
Oh, and Tony Shalhoub as well.
Oh, I love Tony Shalhoub.
He's so good in
I like the cast. I love everybody in it. I just couldn't get into the show. I got tired of it after a while.
Okay, so we're gonna maybe we'll take a break if we want a little more whiskey. We got some more letters before we get to our final top shows of the year. You guys gonna pour some whiskey? Maybe I'll read a couple letters while we're pouring.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a little more Kalila.
Kalila, okay. I'm gonna keep going through my Lafroig 18.
Okay.
I'm still on my Jameson and Ginger. These pint glasses don't go away, you know.
Here you go. Let's see. Here we go. Hey, Booze Dancing. Been meaning to write for a while, and thank you for all the wonderful hours of laughs and suggestions. More guests in 2023. That's a good suggestion.
Yes.
And you should have an in-house band. I play guitar, piano, drums, keyboards, and can run sound systems from my iPhone. I'm a self-starter and work great in team settings. I can definitely see myself being a benefit to your organization. I have my own transportation and I'm very competent in Microsoft Word Office. I like to read, play Wordle, and hike with my golden retriever Shep. Where can I send my resume so we can start a new relationship as soon as possible? Jason
BoozeDancing@gmail.com.
There you go. This is from Jason V. Monroe. His email is jasonvmonroe@jasonvmonroe.com from New York City. So There you go, Jason. Send that your resume to.
We could pay you in liquid currency.
There you go. Here's another one. Dear sirs, cancel my subscription immediately. Merry Christmas, Leanne Howell, Jupiter, Florida. Well, I don't know what her problem is. Hi, guys. Can you suggest...
You know what her problem is? She's from Jupiter, Florida.
Yeah, that's it. Hi, guys. Can you suggest a great podcast about television and movies where the hosts drink and review spirits during the show? Also, do you buy old VCR tapes of television shows from the 1970s and 80s? Brittany Stevens, Madison, Wisconsin. Any thoughts?
We buy old VCRs.
Oh, okay. There we go.
We do that.
I can't think of a single show. Nothing's ringing a bell.
Nothing. No, I'm going to say. But by the way, speaking of podcasts, someone mentioned Will Arnett.
Yes.
The Will Arnett, Jason Bateman, and a third person podcast is so good. I have to admit, they don't talk whiskey. They don't talk. I guess they do talk TV a little bit. It is called. Hold on, we'll look it up real quick because it is so good. I highly recommend it. Podcast. This is the way we work on. There's an F1 podcast. Is that true? Smartless. Will Arnett.
I think he does.
You can check that out. It's called Smartless. Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett. It's very funny.
Okay.
And let's see, one more maybe before we get back to
one more letter.
Gentlemen, Scotch was the hot item and is for a while and is now too expensive. Then it was rum, then Irish whiskey, now mezcal. What do you forecast the next hot sector in the spirits category for 2023? This is from Michael Capshaw, Senior VP of Sales and Marketing, Diageo PLC from London. Michael Capshaw needs some help. What do you guys think is going to be the next hot category?
If we give him an idea and it works, do we get a commission?
No.
We'll have to email him.
I think they sent some men in black to your house if you try to take credit.
How about Poitin? What's the Irish moonshine?
No,
it's called it's spelled Poitin, but I think it's pronounced Poitin. Actually.
Okay, Poitin.
I'm going with gin. I think gin's the next big thing.
Is it the next big thing? I thought it was already the big thing. Grappa. I'm going with Grappa.
Grappa. I still want it to be
never be a big thing.
I still want it to be the Rakia or Slivovitz. That's what I want to be the next.
Okay. Either or, I'm good with that.
I think they cycle through the stuff. It was vodka was huge, then tequila was huge, then rum was huge. Now it'll be gin's turn.
Grappa.
Yeah.
Grappa.
Well, I have to say, I mean, I'm not a big bourbon and rye guy, but it's still great for your money. Still, you can get really great bourbons and ryes.
Yeah, as long as you stay away from the Wellers, the Pappies, the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection.
You can get great whiskey for $30 or less.
And the Blantons.
There's
a lot of good value in there.
No, you can get great whiskeys on the bottom shelf. Really,
the problem you do get with a lot of that stuff is once you start liking one, then it gets red hot, and then you can't buy it anymore. So that's
well,
you got to find the next one.
In the medium to upper tier, that's true. That's true.
The key is buy it, drink it, don't post it on social media.
That's right.
Keep it to yourself. Otherwise, people won't want it.
Get off the Facebook, the little membership groups, and stay out of there. And that's where it all gets
Best kept secret.
And whatever you do, don't have a podcast. Don't talk about
No,
stuff.
do not
That's
do
the
that.
death knell.
Big mistake.
That
Big
will
mistake.
kill.
No.
Look what we did to
Freaking
Japanese whiskey. I think we take credit for
We
Yamazaki
ruined it.
basically being
I
off the
blame
charts.
you. We cannot buy Yamazaki 17 anymore because of you guys.
And then we started talking about Hibiki, and now that's too much too.
Gone. Can't get it.
Gone.
Gone. No muss.
It's Angelo's fault. It's all he's to blame for most
Always
things.
is.
Yes.
Always is.
Global warming, my fault.
Your fault.
Seattle.
All right.
The
We
water
are here.
quality in Flint, Michigan, my fault.
Not your fault.
We are to the end of 2022, final year, final month, final weeks, final days.
Final year. It's over.
Could be. You never know.
At least we're going out with a bang.
We finally got to the end of the year's shows, and we probably have a couple here that we're going to cross over into a couple for all of us. Who wants to start this last category?
You hit my whole list already. I'm done.
You're done.
I'm
Okay.
done.
Wow. Okay.
You either didn't like the shows I watched, thanks a lot, Ange, or it was an honorable mention because it wasn't good enough. Thanks a lot, Ange.
You know, in all fairness to you, I mean, you have said repeatedly throughout the year on many a pod that you don't have a whole lot of control over what goes on the tube.
Correct. We understand that.
That is very true.
So we'll give you we'll cut you some slack.
So I would guess, Ange, and just down to the two of us, we're gonna have a couple shows here that cross over.
Yes.
And I think I'm gonna have a show that you don't have.
Okay. Go for that one. You could start with that one.
Okay. So the show that
he's got Lou Grant. It's unbelievable.
Bob Newhart show.
Funny, Lou Grant. That's funny you said that. My wife does I think the New York Times or the LA Times crossword puzzle, and I think there was a Lou Grant clue in this past week's, and the answer was Ed Asner, by the way. Pachinko on Apple
I didn't get
Plus.
to watch it. I did not get to watch it yet.
So amazing of TV making, based on a novel of the Korean experience, the imperialism of Japan, taking Koreans and taking over some parts of Korea, and then they're second-class citizens in Japan, and following a family of over 75, 80 years, one woman character as a young child, all the way to her old age, and the various generations in between. It is just, it's in Korean, it's in Japanese, it's in, there's a bit of English, and it just covers a wide swath of generational territory and emotions and what the family went through, and the historical parts of the way Japan and Korea acted towards each other at this time. It's just amazing. It was Apple Plus. It's so big, and that I assume it's a one-off. I don't think there's another season coming from that. I don't know how, unless there's another book that I don't know about. It's just wonderful, just great. So not much more I can say about it.
It's been on my list, so
I recommend it. Highly recommend it. It's that good.
All right, you normally find things that are somewhat obscure that I don't really know anything about. And this particular show, I know nothing about it. It is at 98% at Rotten Tomatoes, and it made 17 top 10 lists from people in the industry.
It's that good. I mean,
I'm going to have to say this one might be good.
It's really good, and so the reason we will come back to this a bit, but I liked having the network column that you gave us in this list.
Yeah.
In my top echelon of shows, 3 of them are Apple Plus shows. And there's 3 Hulus and 1 Disney Plus, which is the Andor, and only 1 HBO show, interestingly. So, and only 1 Netflix. A couple years ago, it would have been all Netflix. It seems.
Yeah, right.
Really changed. So go ahead, Ange. What do you got?
All right. So my number 4 is My Brilliant Friend season 3.
which I saw.
And it was just on, like they're doing a marathon, I guess. They just did a marathon today. And I was watching bits and pieces of it. I mean, every single episode is like a movie.
It is.
It's just beautiful to watch. The acting is fantastic. The storyline is really good. I mean, both actresses are very good. At least this particular generation of actresses, because they had the young girls. Now they've got these girls that are going from mid-teens to
they're adults.
late 20s, early 30s.
Yep.
And now and then I think season 4 they're gonna bring in, I guess, the women when they're in their 40s or 50s.
Yep.
Whatever it is. But it's just so good. I mean, it just, like all these other shows, they're hitting all these topics like, would you call it misogyny?
Yeah.
Maybe?
This is the way it was.
Just
the way the world was in the 1950s.
Well, this is the 60s and 70s.
60s and 70s, right.
Right. So, and you've got, women being marginalized and, just whatever it is, whether it's, just not being treated well by their husbands or not being able to advance in their careers.
All within the framework of the politics of the time in Italy and in Europe. It's very difficult. Yeah, it's a very difficult world to be a woman.
It's just a tremendous show.
And to be an independent woman.
Right. It's just so good. It's just so good.
It's great.
So that was my number 4. And I mean, it could be number 1, depending on the mood. But, there've been a couple other shows that just, I think were just a little bit higher. They're all interchangeable. The top 10's interchangeable.
Anything else?
My number 3, which I guess if it would have been a couple months ago, may have been number 1. Better Call Saul, season 6, which, there was a lot of, what do you want to call it? Kind of tying up all the loose ends on the show. There was maybe a little bit of fan service, whatever you want to call it. But, I mean, it's probably one of the best constructed, best acted, TV shows ever. I mean, it's just so well done. It's so intricate. Maybe there were a couple things that were a little bit like cheesy, like the gun in the lab with Gus. That might be the only real thing that like kind of sticks out. But everything else was just so good. And Kim was Ray Seahorn.
Yeah.
She was fantastic. And I mean, you got to give it to Bob Odenkirk. He just grew so much over both shows. And even over this, he just got so much better.
Yeah. It could have been in my top 10 and it wasn't. One of my problems, I think, with it was the hype was so much big on it, right? It was, and you get this with when it's going to be the last season. There's so much hype around it, and sometimes the hype, things don't live up to the hype, and I got that a little bit. There were some TV making things that I wasn't fond of. The black and white stuff was a little bit much for me at times, but this is as a whole, it's an amazing show. It's this, like Breaking Bad. It's this. It's iconic for what it is.
Let me add one thing.
In the TV world.
Let me add one thing that takes it to the next level. Carol Burnett.
She's pretty damn great.
She was tremendous. I mean, she didn't.
And she was in Mad About You with Paul Reiser. Sorry.
I didn't watch Mad About You, so I don't know. But I mean, Carol Burnett, she was doing nothing for the last 10, 15 years?
She can knock it out of the park.
And
she's
Tony
90-ish
Dalton.
or whatever. Tony Dalton.
This introduced Tony Dalton to the world.
Yes.
He was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, you're right. And not that this introduced Giancarlo Stanton to the world, but I think it gave him a different level, a different platform. And even from Breaking Bad. The individual... Esposito. Giancarlo Stanton. Yeah, Mike's over there laughing. It's a baseball reference.
Plays for the Yankees, and he's unbelievable.
And he's amazing as a chicken salesman.
He's unbelievable.
Fried chicken salesman. The individual performances are just wonderful. They really are. And there's little the way that it touches a lot at times and a little bit to Breaking Bad, I think it's almost like the Star Wars thing. You know,
Mhm.
it feeds the fanatics. You want
Right.
things to kind of all connect together
Yeah,
somehow.
there's some fan service,
But you
definitely.
don't want it to be over the top. We
Right.
know how it's gonna. We know that they're connected. We know that, but you don't
Yeah.
want it to be like this overriding thing. It's got this self-contained story on its own, which I think is really great and really beautiful. And you're right. I think the linchpin of this whole season is Kim, right?
Oh, she was awesome.
She's
She
great.
was just great. She was just
So,
awesome. I mean, and the final shot. I mean, just the final 5 minutes of the show was just pitch perfect.
Yeah.
You know, it was just great, and there was just enough mystery. You know, just to say, well, what happens next?
You know,
Just
those
keep you
guys,
curious.
Vince Gillian and Peter
Gould.
they were really good at ending episodes,
Yes.
ending seasons and ending episodes. So they had 11 I don't know how long Breaking Bad was on. 5 seasons, maybe?
Something like
whatever
that.
it was.
Yeah.
So you got 11 season enders, and how many episodes within each one? They
Right.
always left them almost perfect, right?
Yeah.
And the season, the not season ender, but the series finale, even in Breaking Bad, was pretty great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Just nailed it. They just
I
nailed
mean,
it.
these guys are craftsmen. They're just they're just absolute craftsmen.
Yep.
Everything, every shot, everything they thought about everything.
Yep.
And they just tied it together really nicely.
What else you got there?
So number 3 was Better Call Saul. Now 1 and 2 are really interchangeable. If the other ones were interchangeable, these are really this was a tough one. But The Bear was number 2. And
let's talk about The Bear first.
Oh, The Bear was just awesome. It's just so good. And it is really like so rewatchable just because of the way it's set up. It's only 6 episodes?
6 or 7, yeah.
Maybe 30 minutes a pop.
Yeah,
you know, one of them was like really short. That one episode that was all one take.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the restaurant that was like 20 minutes, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so well constructed. The characters are really good. Who's the guy that whoever plays Bear?
I don't know who that guy is.
I can't remember the actor's name, but he was on Shameless, I think, for like 12 seasons or something like that. And then the other guy who crosses over to Andor, Richie, you know, cousin, you know, and then you got the John Bernthal little cameo. You know, he comes in again, throwing like a 120 mile an hour heater, if that's a thing.
Yeah, as a
but he leaves an impact. It's just everybody. Even what's his name? Who's the what's the one guy? I can't think of his name. The one who plays the uncle.
Oh,
Oliver Platt.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're starting to get a little crackly.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll unplug and plug it.
Okay. Yeah, but the Bear was just so good, so good. And you know, I got everybody in the house watching it, and it was just a good time.
Dragging them all down with you,
huh? It was great. It was great. The Bear was just a really good ride.
We talked about it a few times. We talked about it with Lisa
Zambetti.
Zambetti on an episode. It's actually pretty unique TV making. You know, it's not like all these other shows we've talked about.
No.
I mean, it's pretty high wire, intense at times. You
stressful.
Feel like stressful. You feel like in the kitchen scenes and the restaurant scenes, you feel like you're in that restaurant. You feel like you're like you have no room to work, and you are being. There's a knife that is at your back, very close to cutting you, just because the person's walking behind you,
which may or may not happen in the show. I don't know.
Correct.
Corner.
It is very intense, and my wife couldn't watch it. I don't know if she watched it because of the intensity. It just wasn't her thing. I just thought it was just great. Now, and it was in my top 10 as well as 2. Okay, what else you got?
Who's your number one show? And again, it was a tough call, but when I go back and I think on it, and just the way the show developed and how it just got better and better and better with every episode, Reservation Dogs season 2.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, and that last scene on the on the
beach
when they make it to California or for the season finale, was just fantastic. And I love the way they laid out the show. And, there's a lot of like going back and forth with backstory, but it was necessary because they were all dealing with grief.
They're fleshing out the kids.
Right. And just everything,
and the mom.
Right. Whether it's the mom, whether it's their friend Daniel who committed suicide and like, going back to, you didn't meet his father the first season.
Right.
They bring it back. There's some closure there. It's just so well done. It was just so well done. Who's the one guy? Oh, Big, the cop, the light horseman, who's also in your show Dark Winds.
Yep.
He was fantastic. I mean, that whole episode where he took peyote or whatever he took, or he dropped acid with the one guy. It was just and he's dealing with stuff too. They're all dealing with this stuff.
It is dark. It is very funny at times.
Oh my God.
It's very funny.
It's
and we have this, a renaissance? I'm not sure if that's the right term, of Native American shows right now, which is really great. There are great actors in all aspects of our community and great stories to tell. And we've got, Dark Winds, and you've got I mentioned Shoresy and Letterkenny. That's an element of those shows. Reservation Dogs. I'm watching a show right now on Amazon Prime called Three Winds, which is in Canada, set in Canada, and it has this whole element of Native Canadians. It's a area that's ripe for telling stories because there's a lot of history and some very dark, very bad history as well. And I think the epitome of it right now is Reservation Dogs. You're talking about kids that are having tough times on a reservation and don't know where they're going to go in life, and speaks volumes about the Native American communities in this country. And these kids all are a little bit lost, a little bit aimless, and then something bad things happen to them in their family situations, and it just makes it worse. And this storytelling is so spot on, I think, and you really feel for all these kids and this community and these families, and you laugh a lot. It's actually very funny.
It's really
very
good.
funny.
It's an excellent show.
And again, who's the guy that owns all the TV and all the money?
Well, he's not the showrunner, but he's the producer, right? It's Psycho by TT.
He's the creator, yeah.
Yes, he's got it. He's got a part of this. So cheers to him as well. Yeah, it's in my top. It would be in the top 3 or 4 for me as well. It's just that good.
And when we had Lisa on, she had cast the pilot. And
she cast the pilot, yeah.
Right.
Did she say one of the people that they cast wasn't actually an actor?
Right. The one kid is actually from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's Cheese, right?
Yeah, Cheese. Yeah,
I thought that's what she said.
He's so good. He's
so great. It's just amazing that he's still on the show. and he's still, has grown into the role where you'd think, no acting experience, we'll get rid of you and bring somebody else in.
Yeah. No, it's really good. I assume it's coming back for another season. I hope so.
Yeah.
It's that good.
So.
God, it's really good. So we did it, right? I think that's everything. I don't think we missed one in my list.
No, I think we covered everything.
It
was just a tremendous year of television. It was, and there's a lot I missed.
And like you said, and Mike, you reiterated that when you get to these, you watch these things, and you get to the end, and when is the next season coming? Yeah. And now we don't live in a world of we know it's coming in September after Labor Day. We don't live in that world anymore of television. You don't know when things are coming anymore. Didn't you ask me today, Ange? We talked about when My Brilliant Friend season 4 is coming. It's just COVID also obviously affected production times, but we're talking. I think, what did it say? March, April.
I think so.
Article.
I think it's gonna be March.
So you don't know when these things are going to come, and it could be like what's the one on HBO with the
Succession?
corporate family Succession. I mean, that thing is like whenever it's coming.
Well,
who knows when it's coming?
I think it's coming in March or April.
But I mean, it's not set.
Right. There's no.
It's
right.
like
Right.
Lord of the big thing on HBO. Not Lord of the Rings, the other one.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. It was like this random. Okay, here comes summer of 2022. Okay, well, last year it was in the wintertime. Why is it now in the summertime?
Yeah, I think the one that's going to take a while to come back is going to be Andor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's a real production. I mean, that's a serious production.
Well, and I also think with Disney, there's this whole. Well, who knows now with Disney? Disney's up in air with all of their corporate issues. There's a huge map plan,
right,
of how these things are going to be mapped out over the next 2-3 years, 5-10 years, of how they're wheeling out the MCU, how they're wheeling out the Star Wars stuff. There's who knows. Now maybe some of it's affected by Andor's like this great show. We gotta get a next batch out quick, so we're gonna put Boba Fett on hold or something so we can get this thing going quicker. You got to strike the iron while it's hot, right? So, but I think someone like Disney's got this thing. When you've got this universe of shows, I think you kind of have to look at this bigger picture.
You need a plan.
Well, I think they've got this plan with these short series. And when was the last time there was a Star Wars movie? I don't know. What was the last one?
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I don't know when the next one is.
It wasn't very good, so it doesn't matter.
Well, and it's like this was not on my list of things I've seen, but it's of this list. But I sort of want to put my toe in. Sort of. I'm a little nervous about it. Is this Yellowstone thing?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. But that's a whole thing, right? There's like 3 or 4 series based on this show now.
And everybody that I know that watches it loves it, but I don't have that. I don't have Paramount or whatever it is. What's it on? Peacock?
Paramount Plus. No, Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus? Yeah.
I think Yellowstone's on like a regular channel.
Yeah, but not the old episodes.
Channel. Correct. Right. Yep. Well, I'm watching. Doesn't that Taylor Sheridan? Isn't that who this guy's from? I'm watching that Tulsa King thing with Stallone on Paramount Plus. I like it. It's not going to be Yellowstone, I think, but it's kind of fun. And it's got our girl in it.
It's got Andrea Savage.
Savage. We love her.
Yep. Love Andrea Savage.
So we've got just a couple last questions here, last couple letters, and then we can close this thing up for 2022. A couple I think was kind of interesting. Congratulations. Look at that. We don't get a lot of letters that start off that way.
No.
Your podcast, What We Watch When We Drink, has been nominated for Best Podcast in the Food and Beverage / TV and Film category, new for 2022, by the National Podcast Association. The awards ceremony will be February 17th at the Airport Ramada Inn in Hartford, Connecticut, Ballroom B.
Okay. What's the entrance fee?
We hope you can attend for this exciting evening of podcast excellence, dinner, dancing, and a Q&A with award winners from 2021. Plus, we will have seminars including recording do's and don'ts in your basement, social media, headphones, you need them, and Conan versus Corolla, the battle of our time. Please mail your non-refundable check of $3,000 to NPA, Box 17, Hartford, Connecticut.
See, there's always a catch. There's always a catch.
We are not a 501c. Please speak to your financial advisor or accountant regarding any tax implications. Note that there will be a link sent for discounted parking at the Ramada upon receipt of this check. Venmo and some forms of cryptocurrency accepted. Congratulations and good luck for being a Potty nominee. Evelyn Kissel, Director of Public Relations and Certified Notary, the National Podcast Association. I thought that was very nice.
That is nice. Wait, $3,000, it doesn't include parking? What the hell?
Does not include parking.
Yeah, but you get a discount. It's discounted parking. No. That's pretty nice.
Is there a cash bar too? Is that what's
nice? Well, obviously.
We'll have to email her. I don't.
It's Ballroom B. Of course, there's a cash bar.
A cash bar, Ballroom B. Ballroom A is the all-inclusive.
That's
Ballroom
B.
Come on.
Sure.
You always say it.
You
always say it, Ange. You tip at a cash bar, yes. You always say send in your cards, your letters, your suggestions.
Now we got them.
Choice, and we got some. And there's one final one here. It says
one more letter. One more show.
It says, to whom it may concern, turn the lights off before you come to bed and turn the dishwasher on after your rinky-dink little show. Good night, your wives. Weird. They must have got together.
You know, the irony in this.
The irony, yes, I love
the
irony.
The irony is
also coincidence.
Mike, who turns off the lights in your house?
That's just, they leave them on. I just leave them all on. Screw them, leave them all on.
Who organizes the dishwasher and turns it on?
Well, clearly.
And then unloads?
People with spatial skills. We can't have anybody else doing it. That'd be madness.
Okay. So just saying. I think that was irony. I think that was, is that irony?
It's irony.
So
is that irony?
all of the
Alanis Morissette.
All of the children are and the wife are at a lovely Christmas movie. Violent Night.
Violent Night.
Let's go see Violent Night.
Oh, nice.
The greatest name.
Some for a second time. Some for a second time.
I love it.
David Harbour as Santa.
Very nice.
And not a mall Santa.
Not a mall Santa.
Well, actually, M-A-L Santa. He's a mall Santa.
Speaking of David Harbour, every time I hear him speak, I hear Harrison Ford's voice.
I do too.
I think they have a very similar voice.
I agree 100%. I've said it since the beginning of Stranger Things. Yeah, I agree. You know, speaking of Harrison Ford, he and Helen Mirren.
I know they're in 1933 or something.
I don't know what it's called. One of these Yellowstone things.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't understand that. I didn't know he was still acting. And apparently, there's another
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones coming.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was still acting.
This is
he's questionable.
He's doing the tours that he said he hung up the hat until he got the script he wanted, and they finally came to him with a script that he felt kind of bookends the whole series and puts an end to it. So
I kind of see him.
See what he does.
I see him as the Frank Sinatra of acting, the senior citizen version of Frank Sinatra, where he's just basically speaking his songs. And now we are very few in words coming out of very slow words coming out of Mr. Ford. That's my.
And now
that's my.
The end is near.
The end is near.
Yes. This is Frank. This is Harrison Ford.
I think he has migrated.
I love them both.
He's migrated to be Sean Connery in the third Indiana Jones. He's now taking on that role. So it'll be interesting to see if he's the lead or if he's more of a supporting person to pass the hat, so to speak, on to the next person.
Huh. Yeah. Well, boys, we did it. 2002 is almost in the books. In the books. We got a couple more days here, but this was fun. The live stream of what we watch when we drink, BoozeDancing Network, has been a few hours here, 2.5 hours of frivolity and laughter and a long list of TV shows. We really knocked it out of the park, I think. So this has been fun, guys.
If we had jobs, I don't know what we do.
It's easy doing this when you're unemployed. It's very simple.
That's right.
We'll restart this thing sometime early in 2023 with our next episode, and maybe we'll have more guests this year. We'll see.
Yes.
And maybe we'll have merch. And we'll see you guys, possibly see you guys all on the 17th of February in Hartford when we possibly pick up hopefully we win our award.
We go to the potties.
Yeah, we'll see.
The potties.
What do you think it shakes like? What do you think
it's like? It's the golden toilet.
Actual potty?
It won't be a microphone, I'm sure.
It's a golden toity.
It's the golden toilet. It's sponsored by Toto Toilets, by the way.
That's right. Well, that's actually high end. I think it's maybe more of like one of the lower end brands. Standard. Yeah.
It's sponsored by the Tidy Bowl man.
No, Glacier. Glacier toilets. Isn't there a Glacier brand?
There you go. Yes.
Glacier.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's a Home Depot brand. All right, gents.
This was great. We could probably run the credits out of here, and we will see everyone in 2023.
Yes. Happy New Year, folks. Happy New Year.
Good night.
Happy New
Cheers.
Year.
Good night.
Cheers.
Cheers.